Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Lettuce Head Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Demon God of Wrath? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Izuku Midoriya, formerly known as Izuku Yagi, stood on the cusp of his 8th birthday, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on him. In a society where Quirks had emerged a century ago, the balance of power had shifted dramatically. Females now made up 95% of the population, leaving males like Izuku to grapple with their minority status. Males were often treated as little more than breeding stock, their worth diminished in a world that valued superpowers over humanity. As he faced the harsh reality of his existence, Izuku found himself in the school courtyard, enduring a painful birthday moment. His sister, Izumi, and her friends, Katsumi Bakugu and Shoko Todoroki, surrounded him, their laughter ringing in his ears like a cruel taunt. "Give up, Deku," Katsumi sneered, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're just a useless quirkless male. The only thing you're good for is being breeding stock." Izumi chimed in, her words cutting deeper than any physical blow. "You should just give up trying to be a hero. You don't have a quirk, so you should just accept it. You're a disgrace to the Yagi name." "Yeah, Deku," Katsumi and Shoko echoed, their voices a chorus of mockery. With that, they left him behind, heading to Izumi's birthday party. Alone, Izuku was engulfed in memories of happier times. He recalled his 4th birthday, 2 years prior, when he and Izumi had jumped on their parents' bed, excitedly waking them up. "Mom, Dad, wake up. It's our birthday," they had shouted in unison. Inko, their mother, had groggily replied, "All right, I'm up. What do you two want for breakfast?" "Ramen," Izuku had exclaimed, while Izumi had shouted, "Katsudon. Okay, go wash up first." "Toshi, how about you?" Inko had asked, turning to her husband, who was still snoring. Time passed, and soon Izuku found himself at the doctor's office, anxiety gnawing at him. "Why do I have to come to see the quirk doctor?" he had asked, confusion evident in his voice. "Just in case you manage to develop a quirk," Inko had replied, her tone hopeful. "I mean, All Might has one, and he's a male." Little did Izuku know, he was related to All Might, which was why his family held such high hopes for him. "Yeah, and his quirk is so awesome. Do you think I'll get a quirk like his, Mom? Do you think I'll be able to become a hero?" he had asked eagerly. "I don't know, honey," Inko had said gently. The receptionist called their names, and they entered the examination room. The doctor, after a thorough examination, delivered the news. "I still don't understand why you wanted a quirk test for your son, MDM. All Might was likely a fluke. Your son does not have a quirk, but on the bright side, your daughter has developed a powerful quirk called Esper, which is an evolved version of your own." Izuku's heart sank. "Does this mean I can't be a hero?" he thought. But even in despair, a flicker of determination ignited within him. "No, even without a quirk, I will be a hero." Inko, filled with excitement, lifted Izumi into the air. "Oh, did you hear that, Izumi? You can become a hero. I'll be a great hero just like All Might." Izumi cheered, her joy contrasting sharply with Izuku's growing sense of isolation. Later that evening, after walking home alone from the doctor's office, Izuku felt abandoned. "They forgot about me," he thought, resigned to his fate. "I guess I'll just have to find something to eat and go to bed." As he rummaged through the fridge, Inko's voice broke through his thoughts. "Izuku, what are you doing? Didn't you eat plenty during dinner?" "I wasn't there for dinner. I walked home after you left me at the doctor," he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. Inko's anger flared, and she slapped him. "You're lying. You already ate. How dare you accuse me of leaving you at the doctor? Now go to your room and reflect." Izuku fled upstairs, tears streaming down his face as he cried himself to sleep. The next morning, Inko handed Izumi her allowance. "Have a good day at school, sweetie," she said, her attention solely on her daughter. Izuku felt the familiar sting of neglect. "She forgot about me again. I guess I'll just have to starve," he thought, resigned to his fate. At school, Katsumi approached Izumi. Hey, you guys went to the quirk doctor yesterday, right? What quirk did you get? I got the quirk Esper, basically a more powerful form of telekinesis. But Izuku didn't get a quirk. Honestly, why did we think he would? Izumi replied, her tone dismissive. So it turns out Izuku is as useless as we expected, Katsumi said with a smirk. Just a Deku, Shoko added, her voice laced with mockery. During recess, the bullying escalated. Stop, Kaken. Why are you bullying her? A hero doesn't act like this. Izuku pleaded, desperation creeping into his voice. Get out of the way, Deku. What's wrong with me bullying Ponytail? She's weaker than me. And what are you going to do? You're just a useless quirkless male, Katsumi shot back. I will stop you, like a hero would, Izuku declared, his resolve hardening. But the onslaught continued. Izumi used her quirk to pin him against the wall while Katsumi and Shoko unleashed their powers, freezing, burning, and exploding him with their attacks. After the beating, a girl approached him. Thank you for stopping them from hurting me. My name is Momo Yaoyorozu. You're bleeding, let me help you. Thank you, Yaoyorozu. My name is Izuku Yagi. Is making bandages your quirk? That's awesome, he replied, surprised by her kindness. Thanks. But I can create more than just bandages. My quirk is called creation, and I can create anything as long as I know the chemical formula, Momo explained. As the memory faded, Izuku turned to Momo, who was now a trusted friend. Hey Momo. They didn't beat me up too badly today, only 2 of my ribs are hurting. Let me help you up and get you bandaged. By the way, happy birthday. I have a present for you, Momo said, pulling out a friendship bracelet made of 2 halves. Proof that we will always be friends and that we will go to UA together, she added with a smile. Thank you, Momo. I will always cherish it, Izuku replied, feeling a warmth in his heart despite the pain. Izuku Yagi was now 10 years old, and the past 6 years since his diagnosis as quirkless had been a monotonous cycle. Every day began with him waking up to the familiar beatings from his classmates, Izumi, Shoka, and Katsumi, who had come to be known as the Big Three of Aldria High. After enduring their torment, he would seek solace with Momo before embarking on his daily scavenger hunt for scraps. On daring days, he would sneak into the kitchen, pilfering food and unnoticeable medical supplies, only to retreat to his room to bandage his wounds before falling asleep, often hungry. One day, as he walked beneath a bridge after yet another encounter with the Big Three, Izuku's thoughts spiraled. He couldn't believe that Katsumi had blown up his dummy notebook again. What kind of idiot does she take me for? He mused, recalling the countless times she had destroyed his belongings. Maybe I should go hunting in the forest for food. Wait, what is that rumbling sound? Suddenly, a sludge villain emerged, and Izuku's instinct was to run. However, escape was futile as the villain struck first with a tentacle. Would you look at that, a nice medium-sized meat suit. And it is a lowly male, perfect, the sludge villain sneered, attempting to engulf Izuku. No. This cannot be how it ends. I haven't become the #1 hero yet. I cannot accept this. Izuku thought desperately as his eyes began to glow red. Just then, a figure burst forth from the sewers. I am here. Detroit Smash. All Might declared, delivering a powerful blow that sent the sludge villain reeling. He quickly scooped the villain into a bottle, leaving Izuku in awe. He stopped the villain in one punch, and he is like me, Izuku thought, his admiration for the hero swelling. All Might, can you sign my notebook? Izuku asked, his voice filled with hope. Right away, young. All Might began. Yagi. Izuku Yagi, he replied eagerly. Well, here you go, young Yagi, All Might said, handing back the notebook. Thanks, All Might. This will be a family heirloom. Wait, could you answer my question? Can a quirkless male become a hero like you? Izuku inquired, his heart racing. All Might chuckled, Without a quirk, you have no power and cannot be like me. Definitely not a hero. Well, I will be off. With that, All Might leaped away, leaving Izuku feeling deflated. Even the #1 hero thinks I can't become a hero, Izuku thought, disheartened. Maybe I should just give up. He trudged home, but the sounds of explosions and screams drew him back into action. He raced toward the chaos. The fire is too large. Damn it, I cannot get close. Kamui Woods shouted, frustration evident in his voice. Sheet. The road is single lane. We have no choice but to wait for a hero with a proper quirk to come. MT Lady added, panic creeping into her tone. Izuku's heart raced. Are they serious? The hostage will most likely die soon. His eyes widened as he spotted Katsumi and Momo trapped in the sludge villain. The music You Say Run began to play in his mind, fueling his determination. Without a second thought, he jumped over the barrier and dashed toward the villain. Kid, get back. It's too dangerous. Death Arms warned, but Izuku's eyes glowed red again, and power surged through him. He ran faster than he ever had before, throwing his bag at the sludge villain, stunning it. You stupid Deku! What are you doing here? Katsumi yelled, her voice laced with anger. What are you doing, Izuku? Get away or you're going to die. Momo shouted, panic rising in her voice. How can I be a hero if I leave you here to die? Plus, we promised to go to UA together. Izuku replied, pulling at the slime as he charged energy into his fist, preparing to strike. Just then, All Might's voice rang out again. Detroit Smash. Time passed, and soon Izuku found himself being scolded for his recklessness while Izumi basked in praise for her powerful quirk. Thank you so much, Izuku. I can't believe you got scolded. I mean, the heroes did nothing compared to you. See you tomorrow, Momo said, her gratitude evident. Bye, Momo. See you tomorrow, Izuku replied, continuing his walk home. Suddenly, Katsumi's voice pierced the air. Listen, Deku, I did not need your help to escape. I had the situation perfectly under control. Before he could respond, Katsumi unleashed an explosion that sent him crashing against a wall. Limping, he continued home, only to stop outside an alleyway where he overheard a conversation between Izumi and All Might. Hello there, Izumi, All Might greeted. Oh my god, All Might. Wait, how do you know my name? Izumi asked, astonished. You may also know me by another name, All Might said, transforming into his buff form, steam billowing around him. Dad, you are All Might. Is that why you had my brother checked for a quirk when he was 4? Izumi exclaimed. Yes. I was hoping he would inherit my superior genes, but he did not. The reason I wanted to talk to you is that I wish to pass on my quirk, one for All Might explained. Wait, what? Your quirk can be passed on? Then why not Deku? Izumi questioned. You see, I was originally quirkless like Izuku, but my quirk was passed to me like a sacred torch. I have deemed you worthy of my quirk. As for Izuku, he lacks the traits of a hero. Have you seen him? He has noodle arms, spends all day hanging out, and has no drive or quirk. So, do you accept? Yes, I accept that. I mean, I have such a powerful quirk. It makes sense for me to be the next #1 hero. Izumi declared, excitement bubbling within her. Izuku, listening from the shadows, felt a surge of anger. You hear that, Izuku? Even when Dad could give you a quirk, he didn't because you are a useless Deku and a sad excuse for the Yagi family name, he thought bitterly. All Might, unaware of Izuku's presence, reflected on their earlier encounter. Izuku, you took up so much of my time with your question. I was running low on energy to save Izumi's friend. What were you even doing up there? You were useless in the hostage scenario. Maybe you should have just died earlier. Katsumi has a great quirk for a hero, unlike you. Izuku felt his heart sink. I have none of the qualities or drive of a hero, and Izumi is worthy? What bullshit is that? Dad was quirkless and a male, so he should understand how it feels to be powerless. Since I am not wanted in this house, maybe I should leave. But where? How about the forest? As he contemplated his escape, he felt a strange sensation. Tentacles began forming around his arm, a vivid red color emerging from his skin. Is this my quirk? I thought I was quirkless. How would Izumi and the others treat me knowing I have a quirk now? I don't want their fake love. I should keep it hidden and start planning how to get out of here. The next day, Izuku ventured into the forest, testing his newfound abilities. Frustrated by his failures, he recalled how he activated his quirk the previous day through anger. Maybe rage is how I activate it, he thought, channeling his emotions until the power surged through him once more. This seems like a good place to set up camp, he decided, spotting a secluded area on a hill where he could hide from prying eyes. Every afternoon, he dedicated his time to building a hidden house while honing his skills. With each passing day, he began to understand his quirk better, discovering its corrosive effects, the ability to form a double body, healing, enhanced stats, health siphoning from enemies, teleportation, and even forming a protective armor around himself. As time passed, Izuku's life took a dark turn. He was killed by his own sister, buried in the forest, and left for dead. But from the ashes of his former self, a new Izuku emerged. They killed me. They actually killed me, he thought, grappling with the betrayal. My own sister helped kill me and just buried me here. I can't go back, they would know I have a quirk. I have to change my name. Maybe Izuku Endedo. No, that sounds too cringe. How about Izuku Midoriya? Yes, that sounds nice. Look out world. Izuku Midoriya is coming, and nothing will stop me. With newfound determination, he began the long trek to his hidden house in the woods, ready to recover and forge a new path. As the days turned into weeks, Izuku's absence did not go unnoticed. On Izumi's birthday, the family gathered, unaware of the darkness that had befallen their home. Where is our favorite nephew? Aizawa asked, scanning the room. You mean Izumi? She is playing Pavlov with Shoka in the living room, Inko replied, oblivious to the tension in the air. No, Izuku. It's his birthday too. We always send gifts because we were busy, Nezumi, the principal of UA, corrected her. Oh right. I'm not sure where he is. Izumi, can you go get Izuku? Inko asked. Mom, Izuku told me he is tired and just wants to rest, Izumi said, a hint of panic in her. Nemuri, known as Midnight, insisted, no, it's his birthday. I should at least go tell him happy birthday and give him his present. It's been years since we actually saw him. Enji, the father, chimed in, wait up. I will come with you. Katsumi interjected, there's no need to wake him up. Izuku is very tired and told me to make sure you don't disturb him. Detective Tsukachi raised an eyebrow. Why are you lying, Katsumi? I'm not lying, she snapped. The group made their way to Izuku's room, only to find the door locked. Izuku, it's your favorite aunt. Open up. Nemuri called, but silence met her plea. Nezumi's instincts kicked in. Something is wrong. I smell blood. Enji quickly. Break the door down. With a powerful kick, Enji shattered the door, revealing a room that was a haunting sight. A moldy mattress lay in the corner, books scattered about, walls stained with blood, and old medical supplies littering the floor. The heroes recoiled in horror, some retching at the stench. Where is my nephew Toshi? Where is Izuku? Nezumi shouted, panic and despair flooding his voice. The truth of Izuku's fate loomed over them like a dark cloud, and the realization of their negligence weighed heavily on their hearts. Izuku had faced unimaginable horrors before his death, nearly falling victim to Katsumi's violent intentions. However, he was revived by his quirk, transforming from Izuku Yagi to Midoriya. His absence went unnoticed until Izumi's birthday party a month later, where friends and family gathered, including Aizawa, Nemuri, Nezumi, the Todoroki family, the Bakuga family, Tsukachi, and Gran Torino. As the party buzzed with laughter, Nezumi's voice cut through the air, filled with panic. Where is my nephew Toshi? Where is Izuku? Toshinori, Izuku's father, shook his head, confusion etched on his face. He thought to himself, when was the last time I actually saw my son? Nezumi's frustration boiled over. What do you mean you do not know? When was the last time you saw him? Inko, Izuku's mother, looked up from her conversation, her expression shifting to annoyance. What is with all the shouting? And oh my god, that smell. I told Izuku to clean his room. Inko, we are talking about how Izuku is missing, Nezumi snapped. And from the looks of the dried blood and the stench in his room, it's been for some time. Inko shrugged dismissively. Oh, good riddance. That useless boy is finally gone. He always dirtied up the house and just used our money asking for food when we already fed him. Aizawa, unable to contain his disbelief, interjected, I can't believe this. Your son is missing, possibly dead, and this is what you are thinking? He was quirkless and a male, Inko retorted coldly. He wouldn't have brought any fame to the family. At best, he would have been married off to a rich family. In a moment of anger, Aizawa slapped Inko across the face. Detective Tsukachi, observing the tension, asked, Come to think of it, why were you three lying about Izuku earlier? Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka exchanged worried glances, panic rising within them. Katsumi spoke up defensively, We are not lying. He told us not to let anybody disturb him. Tsukachi's eyes narrowed. You know my quirk is a lie detector. So I will ask you again. Why are you trying to cover for him, and where is Izuku? Silence enveloped the room, the weight of the adult's stares pressing down on the three girls until Shoka finally broke. Sobbing, she confessed, We killed Izuku after Katsumi tried to RP him. We buried him in the forest to get rid of his body. Gasps erupted from the adults, except for Inko and Tsukachi. Katsumi and Izumi shouted in unison, Shoka! Tsukachi's voice was steady but filled with disbelief. Is this true? Katsumi shook her head vehemently. No. He's probably just hanging out with his friends. In an instant, Tsukachi slapped Katsumi hard across the face, causing tears to well in her eyes. You're lying, Katsumi. I will ask again. Is this true? Izumi, her voice trembling, admitted, It's true. Mitsuri, horrified, exclaimed, How could you kill him? And you, Katsumi, how could you try to RP him? You grew up with him. He was practically your brother. NG, Izuku's other father, added, And you, Toshi, how could you not have noticed that Izuku was gone? He is your son. Nozumi's voice was cold and commanding. Listen well, you three. All your recommendations to UA will be cancelled. You will only be allowed into a hero school if we see improvement. You will all undergo therapy and complete 500 hours of community service for the quirkless community. Inko and Toshi, your pay will be cut to 5%, and you will also see a therapist and complete 1,000 hours of community service. I believe that Katsumi, Izumi, and Shoka will be scolded when they get back. The adults nodded in agreement. Nozumi continued, Now, you three will take us to where you buried him so we can give him a proper burial. Understood? Nozumi's glare was fierce, and the three girls, sweating with fear, nodded in unison. They led the group deep into the forest until they reached an empty spot where they claimed to have buried Izuku. However, all they found was a shallow pit, devoid of any remains. Well, where did you bury him? Nozumi demanded. Izumi stammered. Here. We definitely buried him here. Nozumi's frustration mounted. Then why is there an empty grave? Did someone dig him out? Detective Tsukachi examined the area. No. This pit was not dug. The ground was expelled out, and it was done about a month ago. Gran Torino added, What could have done this? Did Izuku develop a quirk? It definitely seems like a quirk, Tsukachi replied. A powerful one, in fact. The nearby rocks are corroded smooth, and there's a piece of Izuku's shirt still hidden in the soil. He was definitely buried here. Tashinori, bewildered, exclaimed, How could my son have a quirk? He was marked quirkless. Nozumi shot back, You lost that right when you neglected him. Nemuri suggested, maybe his quirk activated after they killed him. He could still be alive and scared, hiding from them. We need to find him. Detective Tsukachi nodded. We should go back to the house. Maybe he left a clue to a potential hiding spot. Everyone rushed home, bursting into Izuku's room, searching for any sign of where he might be hiding. It was then that Nemuri discovered a journal, surprisingly free of blood. Guys, I found something, she called out. What did you find? Nozumi asked, leaning closer. Some kind of journal, Nemuri replied, flipping it open. The first entry is dated July 14th, XXXX. Nozumi's eyes widened. Isn't that Izuku's 4th birthday? Inko nodded, her expression shifting to one of concern. Give it to me, Nozumi said, taking the journal. I will read it to everyone. They gathered in the living room as Nezumi began to read. Entry 1. Tomorrow is my birthday. I know I am a male, but I hope to get a quirk like All Might so I can be a great hero. Entry 2. Today is the day I found out I was truly quirkless. Izumi got a powerful quirk, and Mom left me at the doctor's office, scolding me for trying to get something to eat before I went to sleep. Did she really forget about me? Maybe it was just all the excitement of Izumi getting a powerful quirk. Hopefully, tomorrow will be better. Entry 12. It's been more than 2 weeks since I found out I was quirkless. Izumi, Shoka, and Kaken have been bullying me non-stop since that testing, using their quirks on me. I haven't had a full belly since. We'll try to steal some food later. Hopefully I can get enough for a while. Entry 269. Today, I managed to get half a loaf from the trash on my way back. It should last a week at least. Entry 389. It's been about 2 years since I was declared quirkless, and every day has been more or less the same. Wake up, starve, go to school, get beat up, go home, patch up all the wounds, and then starve some more. At least I still have Momo. She's the only thing keeping me sane at this point and helps to patch me up when she can. Entry 1023. I can't believe it. The person I look up to my entire life is one of the people I despise the most, my father. He said I do not have a hero's spirit and that I just sleep at home all day. What would you expect? I get beat up so much and have so little food that I stay in my room to patch myself up after the daily beatings. And Izumi has a heroic spirit? Please, she beats me up non-stop. On the bright side, I have a quirk. I used it to free Momo from the sludge villain. Everyone gasped, realizing the implications. Entry 1024. My quirk is awesome. It grants me strength and speed to match at least half of All Might and should grow in time. It lets me form this suit around me, which allows me to corrode everything around me or heal anything. I found a kitten with a missing leg and fully restored it. Entry 1500. I am afraid. Izumi and her gang have been getting worse and worse. Even with my quirk healing me, I am afraid someday they may finally kill me. If anybody finds this book and I am missing, know that Izumi and her gang were the ones who killed me. Nezumi closed the journal, her heart heavy. That's the last entry. Midnight, shocked, exclaimed, so he has a quirk that grants him strength close to matching All Might. Plus, he can heal himself. Gran Torino added, don't forget, it can heal others strong enough to restore limbs and corrode things. Enji's expression turned serious. We need to find him and make sure he does not turn into a villain because of them. Can you imagine how powerful he would be? With proper training, he could surpass All Might. Nezumi's voice was filled with urgency. Do you see what you have done? A kid with an IQ nearly as high as mine, strength and abilities that can surpass you, is now in hiding and could be picked up by villains simply because they treated him like a human being. Let's leave quickly, it's only been a month. Maybe we can get to him before they do. They departed, leaving the Yagi family in the living room, fear gripping their hearts as they wondered if Izuku would return for revenge, stronger than All Might. Months passed, and Izuku had transformed. He trained relentlessly, honing his abilities and embracing his new identity as a vigilante. He became known as the Chilling Reaper, using his powers to help the wounded while simultaneously hunting down those who preyed upon the innocent. One night, while perched atop a building, he heard a scream. Ah! Come on, little girl, you're coming with me. Izuku's instincts kicked in. He dashed across the rooftops, spotting a young blonde girl, no more than 5 years old, being threatened by a man who exuded malice. Without hesitation, he transformed into his swarm form and launched himself at the assailant, draining him of energy and leaving his signature mark. As he prepared to leave, he heard the girl sobbing. Wait, please don't leave me. Izuku turned back, his swarm form swirling around him. Why? I don't have a home. My mother kicked me out when they learned of my quirk. Please take me with you. Hearing her plea, Izuku recalled his own painful past, the neglect and suffering he had endured. He vowed that he would not let anyone else experience that kind of pain. Home, he whispered, wrapping the swarm around her gently before warping them both to the safety of the forest. Whoa, where are we? She asked, wide-eyed. Izuku dismissed his swarm form, revealing his true self. You are a guy with a quirk. Yeah, but before we get into explanations, what is your name? Mine is Izuku Midoriya. Himiko. Just Himiko. I was disowned because of my quirk. Well, Himiko, Izuku said, I understand what you went through. How about you stay with me from now on? Just, thank you so much. Himiko rushed to hug him, and he returned the embrace with a small smile, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. As they settled into their new life together, Izuku shared his story with Himiko, omitting the darker details. He prepared food for her, knowing all too well the pain of starvation. When he noticed her tears, he knelt down to comfort her. That's so sad, she said, her voice trembling. You treated them so well, yet they did all that. Do you think they will still get into a hero school? All Might will probably try to push for it, Izuku replied thoughtfully. Now that I think about it, you still haven't told me your quirk or age. Oh, I am 5, going on 6. But I don't want to tell you my quirk. You would think it's villainous and then kick me out. Izuku chuckled softly. Hime, you've seen my quirk. I'm pretty sure mine can be considered more villainous than yours. But your quirk is so heroic. You used it to save me. Izuku smiled. So if your quirk is villainous, wouldn't mine be too? Himiko paused, contemplating his words. You're right. My quirk is transform. I need to drink a person's blood to turn into them. But it has grown into a need to drink blood often, about once every week so far. If not, I get slight withdrawal symptoms. Do you need to drink blood now? You can have some of mine if you need, Izuku offered. You would let me drink your blood? She asked, surprised. With a gentle nod, Izuku cut his wrist, letting the blood pool into a cup before handing it to her. You actually gave blood for me to drink? Nobody has ever done that for me. Thank you. Come on, it's late. Let me show you your room, and then we can get some sleep. Tomorrow, we can go buy some things for your room. Himiko's eyes sparkled with excitement. I get my own room? Yeah, come on, Izuku said, leading her to a spare guest room. The days turned into weeks, and the two grew closer, sharing laughter and stories. Izuku taught Himiko the basics of life, and together they started a company called Midoriya Corp, selling new medicines he had created. It proved efficient, allowing him to take care of her. As time passed, Izuku faced challenges, including a confrontation with All Might, who demanded he surrender for illegal quirk usage. In a moment of defiance, Izuku slapped All Might into a wall, rendering him unconscious, and continued his work as the Healing Reaper, warning that any hero who interfered would be blacklisted by the public. Months later, while shopping for dinner, Izuku and Himiko encountered two frightened girls, Eri and Milim, who were covered in rags. Please help us get away from him, one of them cried. Who? Izuku asked, scanning the area. Eri, Milim, come back here. Don't disturb the nice man and his daughter, a woman in a bird mask shouted, stepping forward. Izuku's instincts flared. Oh, they are your daughters? They seem to be scared of you. That's because I just scolded them for eating ice cream without permission, the woman replied dismissively. Why are they covered in bandages? Izuku pressed. They like to play rough with each other and are clumsy. Now will you give them back to me? No, I don't think I will, Overhaul, Izuku said, recognizing the villain. Overhaul's eyes narrowed. So you do know. Shame. It would save me the trouble of disposing of your body. Eri, Milim, Himiko, follow the other me home. I want to have a chat with her alone, Izuku instructed, sending a clone to SRT the girls away. What do you mean? Eri asked, confused. As the clone whisked them away, Izuku turned to Overhaul. Now that they are gone, do you want to talk this out like civilized people, or are we going straight to a slugfest? Give me back my cure. Overhaul shouted, slamming her hand into the ground, sending spikes toward Izuku. Breathing raggedly, he managed to ask, What do you need her for? I extract her blood to make a quirk-canceling drag and test it on Milim to ensure it renders anyone quirkless like you. Haha, and you thought you stood a chance against me. Maybe if you hadn't let your twin take them, I would have kept you as a plaything. Those words ignited a fury within Izuku. In a swift motion he unleashed his swarm, cutting off Overhaul's arms before she could react. How? You're a male. You should be quirkless, she gasped, disbelief etched on her face. You know, if you hadn't said all those things, maybe I would have let you live. But it's too late for regrets. I will make sure you understand a fraction of the girl's pain after what you did to them. Transforming fully into his swarm form, Izuku corroded Overhaul's body piece by piece, healing her just enough to keep her conscious. Her blood-curdling screams echoed through the alley, drawing the attention of nearby heroes. Death, Izuku declared, swiftly severing her head from her body, leaving only her head behind for identification before warping away. As he returned home, he was met with a scene that warmed his heart. Melim and Eri were sobbing, convinced that the nice man was going to die. Girls? Izuku called out, stepping into the house. You are alive, they exclaimed in unison. Yeah, and Overhaul will no longer be able to hurt you, he assured them. Are you sure? Eri asked, her voice trembling. Positive. I may be a male, but I am very strong. With smiles breaking through their tears, Eri and Melim rushed to hug him. Thank you, Papa, Eri said, her voice filled with gratitude. Thank you, Dad, Melim added, joining the embrace. Izuku was momentarily stunned, his heart swelling with emotion. He had never expected to hear those words, and the warmth of their affection filled him with a sense of belonging he had longed for. As he processed the moment, he realized that his family was growing, and with it, his resolve to protect them only strengthened. Izuku had just saved Eri and Melim from Overhaul, but the victory had come at a cost. He found himself exhausted, crashing at the end of the ordeal. As he gathered his thoughts, he was startled by a voice. Why did you call me that? He asked, glancing at Himiko. You took me in and gave me blood when no one else would, she replied, her eyes softening. Eri, looking sad, chimed in, you saved us and took care of us like what Papa would do. So, are you not our Papa? Izuku hesitated for a moment. If that's what you want to call me, then sure, but know that I'm only 14. Anyway, why don't we go inside and have something to eat? Can we get some apples? Eri asked eagerly. How about eggs? Melim suggested. Katsudon, Himiko exclaimed. Sure, but before that, how about a nice hot soak? Izuku proposed. The girls cheered in agreement, and he led them to a secret hot spring he had discovered while upgrading the house the previous week. As he washed Eri and Melim, he noticed the large scars and fresh wounds on their skin. Anger surged within him, and a swarm began to form around him. Dad? Melim asked, her voice breaking through his rage. Izuku snapped out of it. Sorry, I was just so angry when I saw the scars. They reminded me of mine. But now that you're both clean, let me heal you. He let the swarm fully form on his arm and gently brought it over their wounds. What was that red thing? Eri asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Himiko explained, that's Daddy's quirk. He can heal people with it. What are your quirks? Mine is transformation. I can turn into anyone whose blood I've eaten like this. She took a bit of Eri's blood from the bandage and transformed into her. Wow, that's so cool. But my parents called my quirk unsightly because it's a mutant type, Melim added, a hint of disappointment in her voice. Quirk? You mean my curse? Eri asked, her expression turning serious. Who told you that? Izuku inquired, concern creeping into his voice. The bad person. She said that after I made Mama go bye-bye, Eri replied, her eyes downcast. Snowball, you do not have a curse. You just didn't have control. You know, my quirk can also do something similar to making people go bye-bye, but it's not a curse, Izuku reassured her. Eri's face lit up with a huge smile at his words. No fair. Why does Eri get a nickname and I don't? Melim pouted. Fine, how about Princess? Izuku suggested, a grin spreading across his face. Yay! Melim cheered. Okay, come on, let's go eat dinner, and then I'll show you your room. Himi, can they use some of your clothes? Izuku asked. Sure, Himiko replied, her smile brightening the room. The newly formed family sat down to eat happily together. After dinner, as Izuku prepared for bed, he was surprised by a sudden request. Papa, can I sleep with you? Eri and Melim asked in unison. Had nightmares? He asked gently. We're scared that when we wake up, you won't be there and that the bad man has killed you, Milim admitted, her voice trembling. Sure. Come on, Izuku said, opening his arms. Just then, another voice piped up. No fair. I want to sleep with you too. Himiko exclaimed. Okay, all of you get in, Izuku chuckled, and the family settled in for a blissful sleep. The next morning, Izuku woke up to the sight of his daughters piled on top of him, Milim wrapping her tail around them. He smiled, recalling the events of the previous night. Good morning, girls, he said, stretching. Good morning, Daddy, they chorused. Come on, let's get breakfast. How does an omelet sound, he suggested. Yay! They cheered in unison. After preparing breakfast, they sat down to enjoy their meal. Girls, after breakfast, how about we go to the mall to buy you some clothes and stuff for your room? Izuku proposed. Sure, Dad. Can we get some eggs to eat there? Milim asked, her eyes sparkling. Sure, we can have eggs for lunch there. Eri, he replied. Something with apples? Eri suggested. Of course. But before that, can you tell me more about your quirks and your ages? Izuku inquired. I'm 6, and according to the doctor, I'm a snake and dragon hybrid. I can grow wings and shrink to about the size of your thumb, but I can also grow to MT lady size, Milim explained, demonstrating by shrinking down, which made Himiko squeal at how cute she looked. I'm 5, but I'm not sure about my quirk. I just know that I can make people go away, Eri said, her brow furrowing in thought. It's okay, we can figure out your quirk later. But let's go to the mall after we take a shower, Izuku reassured them. After a quick shower, Izuku asked, so how do you want to get there? By cat or warp? Cat! Himiko exclaimed. Milim and Eri looked at him with wide eyes. Cat? You'll see, he said with a grin. Izuku split his body, transforming the other half into a cat bus. Eri and Milim stared in awe, their faces lighting up with excitement. Come on, get on, he called, leading them onto the cat bus. They shouted with glee as it began to dash toward the mall. It's so soft, they exclaimed in unison. As they raced through the city, they caught the attention of a certain blue-haired intern. Finally, they arrived at the mall, and Izuku let them off before the cat bus dashed away. What was that thing? A random person wondered aloud. Cat bus, the girls cheered. Come on, girls, let's go buy some clothes, Izuku said, guiding them to a clothing store. Are you sure we can get more clothes? Eri and Milim asked, their eyes wide with hope. Yes, I'm sure. I know what you've experienced, and I want to make sure you don't go through what I did. I want to spoil you a little, Izuku explained. Upon hearing this, Eri and Milim began to cry tears of joy. Izuku quickly pulled them into a hug. Come here, you two. You too, Himi. Afterward, he took them to a restaurant where they ordered katsudon for himself and Himiko, tamago for Milim, and oyakodon for Eri, with apple pie and ice cream for dessert. Once they finished eating, they called the cat bus to leave. Just as they were about to depart, a series of explosions echoed through the mall. Boom, boom, boom. Are you sure you saw her here? One villain shouted. Yes, I am. Now shut up and search. She must still be here, another replied. Stop, villain. Surrender now or I will use force, a heroic voice called out. Izuku's heart raced as he realized they were searching for Eri and Milim. He quickly summoned the cat bus to take them home while he transformed in an alleyway to take care of the situation. Would you look at that, a hero? And quite the looker she is. We can probably sell her for a decent bit, one villain sneered as they approached the fallen hero. Before she could defend herself, the villain attacked and brought her down. Just then, something caught their attention, shaking them to the core. We are here now at Mustafa Mall, where villains have just attacked the place. It appears that Miss Surge is trying to fight off the villains but is down. Wait, what is that red thing? Dead Sea? Ladies and gentlemen, the Vigilante Dead Sea has just arrived at the scene. This fight should be over quickly, the news reporter announced. Once Izuku finished transforming, he charged forward as Dead Sea. The villains pummeled him relentlessly with their quirks, but he pressed on, undeterred, avoiding the hero and leaving the villains unconscious on the floor. After dispatching them, Izuku turned slowly to face the fallen hero. A tentacle extended from him, reaching out to her, but she squirmed away in fear. "Heal," he commanded softly. "Did you just talk?" she asked, astonished. "For the first time ever, we hear Dead Sea speak," the news reporter exclaimed, shocked. There had never been any records of Izuku talking while in vigilante mode. Izuku continued to reach out, healing her and setting her upright. This time, she didn't run away. "Better?" he asked. "Yes, thank you, Dead Sea. I'm the hero Miss Surge, or you can call me Nijire," she replied, her voice steadying. Izuku nodded and began to leave, but he paused when he heard her call out, "Goodbye, Dead Sea. Thank you for healing me." When he returned home, he was immediately bombarded by his daughters. "Daddy, Papa, Dad, you were so cool." Eri, Milim, and Himiko exclaimed, their eyes shining with admiration. Izuku smiled, feeling a warmth in his heart. All the suffering he had endured was worth it for moments like this. Izuku had spent the last few months searching for the remnants of the Shy Hasakak, driven by a fierce longing to protect his daughters, Eri and Milim. As he prepared to leave the house one evening, his youngest daughter, Milim, called out to him. "Dad, where are you going?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Izuku turned to her, a hint of a smile on his face. "Oh, I guess I never told you too. I'm the vigilante known as Dead Sea, and I also go by the Healing Reaper." Eri's eyes widened in recognition. "You're the person the bad man wanted to capture." "Overhaul wanted me?" Izuku replied, surprised. "Yeah," Eri confirmed. "He said something about how your quirk would help them." Izuku shook his head. "Well, she's not coming back. Do you want me to buy any snacks for later?" In unison, the girls chimed, "Candy apples." "Sushi." "Okay," he replied, chuckling at their enthusiasm. After a quick trip to the hospital in Mustafa to heal, Izuku found himself in the midst of an emergency. A hero he recognized, Midnight, had sustained a severe injury during a fight. He approached the doctor, urgency in his voice. "What's wrong with her?" he asked, pointing at Midnight. "Oh, Midnight got hurt during a fight," the doctor explained. "She has a massive wound to her stomach, and she's losing a lot of blood." Izuku's heart sank. Midnight was one of his favorite heroes, and the thought of her being unable to eat or possibly retiring was distressing. Without hesitation, he pushed the doctor aside and began the healing process. As he focused on Midnight, he felt a familiar warmth. "Is that you, Izu?" Midnight murmured, though she remained unconscious. Izuku continued his work, ensuring that not even a scar would remain. The doctor, astonished, exclaimed, "I don't believe it. Her stomach is fully repaired." Feeling a sense of relief, Izuku prepared to leave when he noticed a store selling food. He stepped inside to buy snacks for his daughters. "Welcome, Healing Reaper," the storekeeper said, visibly shocked. Izuku pointed at the items he wanted, indicating they were for takeaway. The food was quickly prepared, and as he tried to pay, the storekeeper insisted, "Please, no need to pay. You healed my little girl for free. After she was diagnosed with cancer, I didn't think I would ever see her smile again." "Thank you. Take the money and use it on her," Izuku replied sincerely. "I understand very well what you mean with my own little ones." Leaving the shop with the food, Izuku felt a sense of fulfillment. The store later gained popularity, known for having served the Healing Reaper. Not long after he left, Midnight woke up and asked where Izuku was. She told the staff at UA about her dream of him healing her, which made Eraserhead suspicious of the Healing Reaper's connection to Izuku. A year passed, and Milim adorned Izuku's head with a flower crown, a symbol of their bond. He had spent this time teaching his daughters everything they needed to know while continuing his search for the Shy Hasakak. After the mall incident, he decided to patrol more openly, which attracted the attention of many heroes. One day, while stopping a bank heist, the hostages revealed themselves to be heroes. A random hero shouted, "Surrender, Dead Sea, or we will have to use force." Izuku thought back to the first time heroes had tried to ambush him. He was surrounded by various heroes, including Eraserhead and Midnight. Not wanting to hurt anyone, he began to back away slowly. "That's it. Detroit SMA." All Might shouted, only to have his hand corroded upon striking Izuku. Leave, Izuku said firmly. Honey, let's leave. You're injured, Green Tornado urged. Izuku thought to himself, ah, shit. Here we go again. As he started to walk away, the heroes unleashed their quirks, nearly hitting civilians. This maniacs. They are going to hit the civilians, he thought, spreading out to minimize the risk. He rushed the heroes, leaving them unconscious before making his way home. Suddenly, a portal opened beside him. Dead Sea, why don't you join my party? Can provide you food, shelter, and whatever you need. Plus, I have a quirk similar to yours. I can corrode things too, a figure said, disintegrating a trash can for demonstration. Tamura, you forgot to tell it who we are, another voice chimed in. Right? Tamura Shigaraki said, stepping forward. I'm part of the League of Villains. Now, will you join us? Izuku hesitated, his expression unreadable. You don't have a choice. Either join us or become a power-up for our Nomu, Tamura threatened. Before he could react, Tamura lunged at him, but Izuku swiftly grabbed him with a tentacle, tossing him around like a rag doll until he was unconscious. Leave, he commanded Kurojairi, who quickly took Tamura away. 3 months later, on Christmas morning, Izuku woke his daughters with excitement. Good morning, girls. It's Christmas. Time to open your presents. It's Christmas, they cheered, racing to the tree. Himiko squealed as she unwrapped a appealing diamond bracelet, while Milim received a tiara, making her feel like a true princess. Izuku's company, Midoriya Corp., had become successful, allowing him to spoil his daughters. However, Eri looked around, her face falling when she saw no gift for herself. She tugged at Izuku's shirt, her voice small. Papa, was I a bad girl? Is that why I don't have any gift? No, Eri. Your gift must have wandered off a little, he reassured her, leaving the room to find it. He returned with 2 small, adorable creatures he had created, reminiscent of the cat bus, each with a little will of their own. They are your gift, he said, watching her eyes light up. They are so cute, Eri exclaimed, as the white creature jumped onto her head while she cuddled the blue one. Himiko and Milim joined in, and Izuku snapped multiple pictures. What do you want to name them? He asked. I want to call the small one Totoro and the blue one Mr. Sky because he looks like the sky, Eri declared. So cute. Now, I'm thinking of getting you 3 to go to school next year. But my little Snowball is 1 year younger, so she won't be in the same class. They will go with you to keep you safe, Izuku explained. Are we going to school? Milim asked, her eyes sparkling. Yeah, I can only teach you so much. Plus, I want you to interact with others and enjoy a childhood. But just in case, Izuku trailed off, pulling out 3 enhanced necklaces. If you ever think you're in trouble, just say my name and think of me while holding the necklace. Thanks, Papa, they chorused. Now that's out of the way, let's eat breakfast. The family gathered around a big Christmas breakfast, filled with laughter and smiles, a moment of peace amidst the chaos of their lives. As the day unfolded, Izuku reflected on the challenges ahead. He had sent the girls to school, ensuring their safety with the homing necklaces and Eri's new pet. With them at school, he could embrace his role as a vigilante more often and keep a watchful eye over Midoriya Corp. One evening, after stopping a robbery, he was confronted by Eraserhead. Dead Sea, stop. I just want to talk, Eraserhead said, his tone serious. Izuku paused, turning to face him. We need your help in taking out the shy Hasakak. I noticed you seem to have a grudge against them. Did they hurt someone related to you? Eraserhead continued. At those words, a wave of bloodlust emanated from Izuku, spikes forming around him as he struggled to contain his fury. Littles, he said slowly, each word dripping with anger. Eraserhead realized the gravity of the situation. I'll bring you to the conference now. We'll attack them soon. Follow me. As they made their way to the conference, Eraserhead introduced Izuku to the others, revealing that he had summoned help in the form of an orb that began to spill out the swarm, causing the heroes to recoil in fear. How did you manage to get Dead Sea to join? Mdim Night Eye whispered to Eraserhead. Apparently, Overhaul hurt one of its kids, and it's out for blood, Eraserhead replied. Dead Sea will be joining us to ensure the rest of the Shy Hasakak goes down, Eraser had announced. A random hero, trembling, asked, "Why is Dead Sea joining us?" According to Dead Sea, Eraserhead began, but Izuku interrupted. "You heard little ones," he growled. Eraserhead nodded. "You heard what it said. The raid will happen in 3 days. We'll meet up one last time before the raid to go through the plan." As the meeting concluded, Izuku prepared to pick up his daughters from school. However, upon arriving, he found the scene in chaos. 2 heroes were struggling against Muscular, who taunted them mercilessly. "Come on, if you aren't going to put up a decent fight, let me get started on the kid." Muscular sneered. "I can't stop now. I have to hold her off long enough for the kids to escape," one hero shouted, only to be brutally punched into the ground. "Come on, heroes. You can do better than that," Muscular mocked. Just then, a new challenger appeared, shooting water into Muscular's eyes. "Don't hurt Mummy," a child cried. "Off dash. That stung, kid." Muscular roared, momentarily distracted. "Run, Kota," the child urged, but Muscular's attention shifted back to him, a sinister grin spreading across his face. Before Muscular could strike, Izuku stepped in, his voice low and threatening. "Don't hurt little ones." In that moment, Muscular realized he had made a grave mistake. He swung at Izuku, but his hand corroded upon contact. Panic set in as he felt an unfamiliar sensation, fear. Izuku launched his assault, a flurry of movement that resembled a swarm of snakes, each strike precise and deadly. Muscular screams echoed in the air, quickly silenced as Izuku tore through him, leaving nothing but a gruesome reminder of his wrath. After ensuring the area was safe, Izuku searched for his daughters, finding them huddled around the fallen hero. He quickly used his tentacles to gather them, but was halted by Kota's sobs. "Don't take Mummy," Kota cried, reaching out. Izuku, feeling the weight of the child's grief, scooped him up along with the others and warped them home, healing Mizu along the way. Once they arrived, he transformed into his healing Reaper form, a comforting presence. "Are you okay, little ones?" he asked gently. "Yeah, we were just so scared, Dad," Nalim replied. Kota looked up at him, confusion in his eyes. "Who are you?" "I am your father, or you know me better as Dead Sea or Healing Reaper," he explained. Hearing his name, Mizu stirred, relief flooding her features as she saw Kota. "Kota, thank God you're okay." Kota rushed to hug her mother, tears streaming down his face. "I have healed your mother. She should be able to walk now. If I hadn't been there, she would likely be crippled or dead," Izuku reassured them. "My name is Mizu Izumi, and thank you so much, Healing Reaper, for saving me and my daughter," Mizu said, her voice filled with gratitude. "No problem. My daughters seem to like her company," Izuku replied, glancing at his girls. "Daughters?" Mizu asked, surprised. "Yes," they chimed together. Izuku smiled. "Since you seem to be fully healed, shall I send you back to your house?" "Papa, can they stay a bit longer? I still want to play with Kota," Eri pleaded. "Seems like my daughter trusts yours. Can I trust you to keep my identity secret? You know how others would want to capture me, and I don't want any of them hurt," Izuku said earnestly. "I swear on my life that I will not betray my savior." You basically ensured Kota still had a mother, Mizu promised. "I pinky promise as well," Kota added, determination in his voice. Izuku felt a warmth in his heart at their words. He returned the swarm to himself, shocking both Mizu and Kota. "You're a male?" Mizu asked, astonished. "He is our daddy," Himiko chimed in, grinning. "Come on, let's go to my home first, then I will tell you my story," Izuku said, leading them to his underground house. They enjoyed a meal together, watching as the kids played with Totoro, Mr. Sky, and the cat bus. Afterward, Izuku began to share his story, recounting how he was tested for a quirk, nearly raped, and ultimately adopted his 3 joyful daughters. "How are you not a villain right now?" Mizu asked, genuinely curious. "Probably my sweet daughters bringing me joy," Izuku replied with a soft smile. "Plus their sadness will kill you before a hero gets to punch you," Mizu added, chuckling. Izuku laughed. "Ha, true. Why don't we set up a playdate for them?" Mizu suggested. Oh yeah, that reminds me. Could you pick them up for me in 3 days? We can have the playdate then, Izuku replied. But why in 3 days? Mizu asked. Because I have a bunch of Yakuza scum to take care of on that day, and I'm not sure how long it will take, Izuku explained. What did they do to enact your fury? Mizu inquired. You can see the scars they left on Eri and Milim, Izuku said, his expression darkening. You mean they tortured them? Mizu gasped. Yeah. From what I can tell, they were extracting blood and skin from Eri to make drags and testing it on Milim, he revealed. I hope they rot in hell, Mizu said, her voice filled with anger. The leader already is. And in 3 days the rest will be too, Izuku promised. That is insane. I know you are quite powerful, but going against an entire Yakuza is just insane, Mizu remarked. Lady, you would not believe the level of insanity I operate on, Izuku replied, a hint of determination in his voice. Izuku Midoriya stood at the entrance of the school, preparing to drop off his daughters before heading out for the raid against the Yakuza. He knelt down to their level, a serious expression on his face. Okay girls, remember that you're going to Kota's house in the afternoon. I'll have to work late today, so I might be late picking you up. You'll have to stay there for the night, but I promise I'll get you tomorrow. Is that okay? Yes, Daddy. Milim and Himiko chimed in unison, their voices filled with youthful enthusiasm. As Izuku turned to leave, the girls rushed at him, wrapping their arms around him for one last hug. Before you leave, hugs? Milim exclaimed. Okay, bye, Daddy. Himiko added, her voice muffled against his shoulder. Once they entered the school, Izuku was left with a heavy thought. He had to ensure that no one was left to hurt his family. Before the raid, he continued his relentless crusade against crime, which had dwindled to a mere 5% of its original rates. The public hailed him as a hero, one who had surpassed all might. As he made his way to the conference room at UA, he noticed Eraserhead watching him from above. Eraserhead led him through the halls, but their path was interrupted when Mirio, mistaking Dead Sea for a hostage, launched an attack. What's inside Dead Sea, I wonder? Maybe I can find out if I permeate through it? Mirio thought, determination in his eyes. Hello, Dead Sea. My name is Mirio Togata, also known as Lemillion. Nice to meet you. He introduced himself, rushing toward Izuku in an attempt to use his quirk. Instead, he collided with Izuku's swarm form and was lifted off the ground by his leg. Eraserhead couldn't help but think, can it nullify quirks as well? This is getting out of hand. Foolish, Izuku said, continuing their slow crawl to the conference room, where Nezumi awaited them. Ah, Aizawa, we were just about to start. And oh, Dead Sea is here as well. Let's begin, Nezumi announced. Hey, Dead Sea. How have you been? Do you remember me? Nijire asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Izuku recalled her as the girl who had thanked him after he healed her. Yes, he replied, using a tentacle to pat her head, causing her to blush. Nezumi pressed a button, and a projector displayed various locations suspected to be hiding the remaining Yakuza. We will be taking down the rest of the Yakuza, hopefully for good. They are weakened without leadership after Dead Sea killed Overhaul, which is rather sadistic, I might add. The 8 precepts have gone into hiding but are still searching for a child for unknown reasons. We've narrowed it down to these 2 locations. Suddenly, one of Izuku's tentacles shot out, pointing at an old Japanese-style house. Here, he declared. How do you know? Nijire asked, her curiosity piqued. Why did you kill Overhaul? How old are you? Are you a guy or a girl? What are you, actually? Eraserhead interjected. Apparently, Overhaul hurt his little ones, so he's here to ensure the rest of the Yakuza are dead in revenge. As for the rest, I don't think he will answer. Nezumi continued, moving on, the plan is to surround them with Endeavor, making sure. Unnecessary. They will all die by my hands, Izuku interrupted, his voice cold and resolute. With that, he warped to the location shown, leaving the heroes stunned. Nezumi chuckled, so that happened. Dead Sea is such an interesting vigilante. No heroes can capture you, nobody can harm you, and we're not even sure if you're human, yet you still feel a connection to others. You will make a fine addition to UA. She sipped her tea, inhaled deeply, and began to laugh maniacally, startling the other heroes. Time passed, and Izuku arrived outside the designated location. He wasted no time in forming a dome of his swarm around the building, trapping anyone inside. Once the dome was complete, he broke through the door, ready to unleash chaos. "Oh! Yeah!" he shouted, a wild grin on his face. Inside, the villains froze in terror, one thought racing through their minds: Kool-Aid Man. Rappa, one of the precepts of death, stepped forward, eager for a fight. "A useless male. You'll be down quickly enough, then we can have some fun," he taunted, advancing toward Izuku. "Oh, you're approaching me?" Izuku replied, a smirk playing on his lips. "I can't beat the sheet out of you without getting closer," Rappa shot back. "Then come as close as you want," Izuku challenged. In an instant, Rappa charged, but instead of a fierce battle, Izuku delivered a single uppercut that sent Rappa crashing to the ground, defeated in an instant. "Oh, would you look at that? One shot. Well, the blood god is asking for more offerings. Who am I not to comply?" Izuku taunted, rushing toward the remaining villains. He punched them with such force that entire sections of their bodies went flying. Bones cracked, some were torn from their bodies and used as makeshift clubs, and many were left bleeding out, writhing in pain. All the while, he chanted, "Blood for the blood god. Die, peasants!" Their screams echoed through the barrier he had created, sending chills down the spines of the heroes and anyone who happened to pass by. "Stop. Heroes wouldn't kill," one villainess cried out. "Beach, please." "I never said I was one of those fake heroes of today," Izuku retorted, ripping off her face before delivering a brutal punch to her gut. "What kind of monster are you?" another villainess asked, terror in her eyes. "The one who will do anything for his family," he replied coldly. As the remaining Yakuza scrambled to find a place to hide, they ended up behind a solid metal door. But there was no escaping the wrath of a father like Izuku. He decided the best approach was to punch through the wall, dragging one of them out and killing her instantly. He stared at the remaining villains through the hole he had created, his eyes filled with a crazed bloodlust. "Here's Johnny," he shouted. The remaining villains screamed in terror. Izuku continued his assault until only two were left. He let the barrier dissipate, allowing the heroes to witness the gruesome scene left in his wake. "Please stop." "Mercy," one villainess begged. "We'll give you anything you want," the other cried. "Oh, but you didn't show mercy to my princess or Snowball," Izuku said, swiftly cutting off their heads with a tentacle. "Dead," he stated flatly, walking out to find the heroines pale and shocked at the carnage he had wrought. "What kind of monster are you?" they thought in unison. As he began to leave, a coughing villainess, barely clinging to life, called out to him. "Kaha, to think all this was because of little Eri and me?" Before she could finish, Izuku quickly stabbed her with a tentacle and continued on his way to Mizu's house to pick up his kids. At that moment, a singular thought crossed the minds of the heroines. One of Dead Sea's children is called Eri. If we find her, we will know who Dead Sea really is. Time passed, and Izuku arrived at Mizu's house, knocking on the door. Mizu let him in, and he greeted his daughters with a smile. "Girls, did you miss me?" But before they could respond, 3 high-speed shells hit him in the gut, causing him to stumble back. "I've only been gone for a couple of hours," he protested, rubbing his stomach. "Yeah, but it felt like months," Milim exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. Izuku chuckled. "Did you have fun?" "Yeah," Eri replied, her face lighting up. "They already took a shower and ate," Mizu added, smiling at the girls. "Thanks, Mizu. I appreciate it. And guess what, Milim Eri? I made sure that the bad men understand they will never try to hurt you again. You won't see them again," he assured them. Eri's eyes widened. "Really?" "Yeah," Izuku confirmed. "Thank you, Papa," Eri said, her voice filled with gratitude. Milim smiled brightly. "Must protect smiles." "You are not alone, brother," Mizu said, her voice steady. "Yes, we will protect the smiles together." Kota chimed in, and thus the alliance of Izuku's daughter's smiles was formed. A year passed since Izuku had single-handedly taken out the Shy Hasakai. He spent that time enjoying life with his daughters, playing with them, and even traveling to other countries with the help of the cat bus. Meanwhile, the tormentors of Izuku's past faced their own consequences. After it was revealed that All Might had neglected his son, his fame plummeted, and Endeavor took the lead. All Might passed one for all to Izumi, but she struggled to wield it, haunted by nightmares of her past actions against Izuku. As news spread that the big three of Aldria had to see a therapist and could no longer recommend you, many cut ties with them. Izumi and Katsumi grew increasingly angry, blaming Izuku for their troubles, convinced that all their suffering stemmed from his existence. Yue continued searching for Izuku, hoping he was alive and doing good in his own way. Momo, feeling despondent after not seeing him for so long, asked her mother to investigate, leading to the hiring of Detective Tsukachi. Through him, she learned of Izuku's possible survival and the existence of his quirk. On the first day of Class 1A, Momo thought to herself, "Izuku, where are you? Eraserhead said you're still alive. Why haven't you come to find me yet? Take your feet off the desk at once. You are disgracing and disrespecting the previous seniors who used it and the makers," a voice rang out. "Why should I for eyes?" Katsumi shot back. "I have you know my name is Tenya Lida from semi-private school," he replied, indignant. "Oh, a private school stuck-up? I can't wait to crush you," she sneered. "Are you sure you're trying to be a hero?" Tenya retorted. "Excuse me, you're blocking the way," Momo interjected, stepping between them. "Sorry, my name is Ten." "I heard you, Tenya. My name is Momo, and you should probably sit down. Our teacher is already here," she advised. Eraserhead crawled out of her sleeping bag, her presence commanding immediate attention. "It took you 5 minutes to calm down," she remarked, her voice laced with annoyance. "What is that thing?" Kirishima asked, bewildered. "Pour holy water on it," Mina suggested jokingly. "Enough. Now put on these uniforms and meet me at Field Beta," Eraserhead ordered. "You guys should change quickly. She doesn't like to wait," Momo urged, hurrying to change herself. "Well, that happened," Kaminari said, shaking his head. As they rushed to meet Eraserhead, she noted their speed. "Huh, you came faster than expected." Momo fiddled with the bracelet Izuku had given her, tears welling in her eyes. "I know it's hard, but we will find him," Eraserhead reassured her. "And when we do, let's knock some sense into him for not even coming to see you." Meanwhile, Izuku was busy dealing with muggers, a smirk on his face. "I am in danger," he chuckled to himself. Momo, still lost in thought, asked, "Do you have any leads?" "Not anything concrete, but we suspect that the Vigilante Healing Reaper may be Izuku or knows him," Eraserhead replied. "That sounds just like him." "Still trying to be a hero," Momo said, her heart aching at the thought. At that moment, the rest of the class joined them. "Okay, now that you're all here, Momo, how far could you throw the ball in middle school?" Eraserhead asked. 55 meters, she answered confidently. "Not bad. Now try with your quirk," he instructed. Momo created a railgun, and when the lights dimmed, she fired it, achieving an impressive distance. "Creative. You've reached over 220 kilometers," Eraserhead praised. "Yeah, this will be so much fun," Mina exclaimed. "You imbecile. You doomed us all." Momo shot back, referencing a popular saying. "Since you think it will be fun, let's add some stakes to it. Last place gets expelled," Eraserhead announced. "Apologies," Mina said sheepishly. "How is that fair after the hours of community service and therapy we did?" Izumi protested. "Fair? How about all natural disasters that occur or villain attacks? Or heck, what about Izuku Yagi? I have 3 years to WHPU into heroes that the public will look up to and not croak within the first 5 years of graduating." Eraserhead replied, her tone serious. The students looked down in shame, except for Izumi and Katsumi, who were fuming. "Now let's get back to the tests. Ball throw, 50-meter dash, sit-ups, push-ups, long jump, seated toe touch, repeated sidesteps, and grip strength. Everyone find a partner for sit-ups." At the end of the day, the results were in, and the placements reflected the absence of Izuku, now replaced by Hitoshi. Expulsion was a practical lie to bring out your potential, Eraserhead revealed. It was clearly a logical ruse. They wouldn't actually expel us, Tenya argued. Momo chimed in, that would be a lie. He expelled his whole class last year on the first day, claiming they had no potential. This left everyone shocked, while Eraserhead wore a smug grin. Later, on the bus ride to the USJ, Eraserhead was seen crying after spotting the cat bus. Everything else unfolded as it did in canon, except that Momo and Tenya were now the president and vice president of the class. Hey, Momo, sorry if I'm blunt, but why do you keep touching that bracelet? Tsuyu asked. Yeah, spill it, sister. Do you have a secret lover? Mina teased, poking Momo's cheek. Fine, just stop poking. It was given to me by my best friend, Izuku Yagi, but he's been missing for the last 5 years, Momo admitted, her voice tinged with sadness. Wait, isn't that Izumi's family name? Tsuyu asked, her brow furrowing. That useless Deku caused me my recommendation, Izumi scoffed. Yeah, it is, and he left because of her, Tsuyu, Momo explained. Call me Tsu, Tsuyu replied. But, well, Izumi and her gang killed him, but the body wasn't where they found it. We guessed he actually had a quirk that revived him, and now he's in hiding from them out of fear, Momo concluded. That's crazy. Another male with a quirk? The only male with a quirk is All Might. Tenya exclaimed. We're here. Everyone, get off. Eraserhead called out. The heroes in training disembarked, greeted by the sight of a marshmallow. Oh my god, it's 13. Ochako gasped. Quiet down. I have to tell you 1 or 2, or maybe 5. No, definitely 15 things before we start, Eraserhead instructed. Suddenly, a mist surrounded them. Everyone, huddle up, Eraserhead ordered. Not long after, the mist faded, revealing that they were surrounded by villains. Where is All Might? The schedule says he should be here, Shigaraki demanded. Calm down, Shigaraki. He must be late, Kurogyari replied. Yeah, you're right. I guess while we wait we can have some fun with them. Kurogyari, disperse them, Shigaraki commanded. At once, Kurogyari said, warping everyone to different areas. Momo found herself in the mountain zone with Jiro and Kaminari, surrounded by villains. Realizing the danger, she quickly devised a plan. Jiro, come here. Kaminari, go crazy, she instructed. Just as she created an insulated cover to protect herself and Jiro, a massive shockwave erupted, taking out all the villains except for one who quickly grabbed Momo. Let her go, Jiro shouted. Step back. Put down those weapons or I will kill her, the villain threatened. Momo thought desperately, Izuku, please save me. Meanwhile, Izuku was with his daughters when he felt a familiar presence. Momo is getting hurt, he realized, turning to his girls. Girls, I need to go out for a bit. I may be back late. With that, he began warping to Momo's location. Back with Momo, she prayed, God, please let me see Izuku in my next life. A voice responded directly to her thoughts. You sure? Why not now? In that instant, Izuku warped in above the villain, crashing down with a fierce determination. Her, he demanded, his voice low and dangerous. Dead Sea, please help. Villains are attacking. Jiro pleaded. Protect. Izuku shouted, expanding his form to cover the entire USJ, lifting all the heroes and leaving them at the entrance while absorbing the energy of the villains. All the villains thought in unison, well, F-. Dead Sea is here. He stopped a blue-haired villainess from disintegrating Tsuyu, but was quickly punched away by a monstrous foe. As he receded, he found himself between the villains and the heroes, a pile of over 200 knocked-out villains at his feet. You daughter of a beach! You finally decided to show up? Eraserhead exclaimed before fainting. Dead Sea, you bloody cheater! Why are you here? Shigaraki yelled. Izuku replied, his voice cold as ice. You goddamn hacker! Nomu, kill it! Shigaraki commanded. The Nomu charged at Izuku, surprising everyone when its punch actually pushed him back a little. Huh, it managed to knock me back. Super strength and speed, but looking at its hand, it can also regenerate, Izuku thought, assessing the threat. He immediately began to swarm the enemy, surrounding it and corroding its defenses. The Noma's punches created bulges on the surface of Izuku's swarm, but in the end, it was overwhelmed and corroded away. Izuku turned his attention back to Shigaraki, who was now trying to escape. "Kurogyari, get us away from this goddamn cheater," Shigaraki ordered. With the villains gone, Izuku turned to the remaining heroes and reached out a tentacle, trying to heal them. However, he was quickly met with hostility from Katsumi and Izumi. "You useless monster. I had it perfectly under control." "Scram!" Katsumi shouted. "Stay away, you bloody monster," Izumi added, her voice filled with anger. Hearing their words, Izuku looked toward Momo, reaching out to show her something she had been searching for since his disappearance, the other half of the bracelet. "How do you have that?" Momo asked, astonished. Izuku reduced his swarm form, returning to his Reaper appearance, sans scythe and bird. "I brought him somewhere safe after he awakened and gave him a place he can call home and a family he can call his. Now move so I can heal her." Izuku stood in the afternoon light, reflecting on the chaos that had unfolded after the USJ incident. He knew the heroes would be searching for him, so he decided to lay low, focusing on renovating his home and managing his company. Meanwhile, a group of heroes gathered to discuss their findings. Nezumi addressed the group, which included Eraserhead, Midnight, Present Mike, Hound Dog, Endeavor, All Might, and Green Tornado. "We now know for sure that Dead Sea has a connection with Izuku, specifically with the 3 daughters of the head of Midoriya Corporation. Dead Sea took them along with the water hose and her son during the attack on that school." Midnight raised an eyebrow. "Isn't Izuku Yagi Izuku Midoriya?" Nezumi considered this but shook his head. "I thought so too, but they look too different. However, the medicine sold by Midoriya Corp shares similar properties with what Izuku has in his room. Detective Tsukachi has some interesting information." Tsukachi chimed in, "I've learned that Kota Izumi, Mizu Izumi's daughter, plays with Izuku's daughters, Eri, Milim, and Himiko, at his place in the forest." Eraserhead frowned. "Did you say Eri? Isn't she the daughter of Dead Sea, the villain mentioned during the raid?" Nezumi nodded. "Yes, and I believe we've located Dead Sea's hideout, as well as where Izuku Yagi is hiding. We should approach him peacefully tomorrow at 2 p.m. while the students are out of school." The heroes agreed, and the next day, they set out through the forest in search of Izuku's home. Hound Dog voiced his concerns. "Nezumi, the scents are too faded and mixed. The tracks are all over the place." "Let's search a bit longer," Nezumi replied, determination in his voice. As they continued their search, they remained unaware of the figure watching them from a distance. Eventually, they drew closer to Izuku's house, prompting him to confront them. "What are you doing here?" "This is private property," Izuku called out, stepping into view. All Might turned to him. "Are you Izuku Midoriya?" "Yes, but you still haven't answered my question," Izuku replied, crossing his arms. Nezumi stepped forward. "We were hoping you could come to UA for a chat and perhaps some tea, Dead Sea?" Izuku raised an eyebrow. "What gave it away? My hair or my gender? Regardless, I won't go." "Now leave." Green Tornado interjected, "That was not a request." Izuku smirked. "But you have no right to take me." "I have my rights as All Might," he insisted. In response, Izuku began forming a swarm around him. "And I'd deny that, right?" The heroes launched their attacks. Endeavor unleashed flames, Green Tornado attempted to restrain him, and All Might hurled rocks. However, Izuku, exhausted from his previous stunt at the USJ, struggled to fight back effectively. "Give up, villain," All Might commanded. "Me? A villain? How about you towards Izuku?" Izuku retorted. "You will give us Izuku back so he can heal me. If not, I may have to throw young Eri into prison for association with you." The suggestion shocked the heroes, even Inko, but it infuriated Izuku. He needed to put All Might in his place and transformed into a long-forgotten form. "My first form," he declared, waiting for their reaction. Eraserhead's voice cracked as he spoke. "You are our Izuku. I was always wary around you, especially after Midnight called me out when I healed her," Izuku replied. All Might pressed on. "Izuku, you will return and give your power to Izumi, as well as your company?" The other heroes turned their heads toward All Might, surprised by his insistence. Not the time, Toshi, Nezumi interjected. Izuku seized the moment, rushing toward Hound Dog and throwing her at Endeavor, buying himself some time. Midnight attempted to stun him with her quirk. Taking off your clothes for me? Must be my birthday present from all those years ago, Izuku teased, causing Midnight to blush and stutter. And no, she managed to reply. It's okay, I've already seen you naked when I healed you, didn't I? You even recognized my touch, he said seductively. Midnight couldn't handle it any longer and fainted, her face flushed. Izuku caught her just in time. Well, that's 1 down and 6 more to go. He continued his assault, quickly grabbing Endeavor and using HNDCFFS made from his swarm to nullify her quirk. Endeavor looked shocked. Since when could he erase quirks? You think I wouldn't train my quirk after all these years? Izuku shot back. He then summoned the cat bus to transport the knocked-out heroes. Is that bus as fluffy and warm as an actual cat? Eraserhead asked. A bit more than you'd think, Izuku replied, smirking. I will take my leave from this fight, Eraserhead said, quickly running toward the bus to rest. That was easier than expected, Izuku mused, turning his attention back to Hound Dog. They exchanged punches until Izuku attempted an uppercut but ended up with a massive scratch on his arm, followed by a punch to the gut. With fewer heroes left, Izuku sought revenge and charged at Green Tornado, throwing punches. All Might, seeing this, threw a punch to stop him, but Izuku dodged, causing a tree to break and spiral toward Nezumi, who couldn't react in time. In a split second, Izuku dashed in front of Nezumi, blocking the tree and taking the impact in his gut. He coughed out blood as he slowly collapsed to the ground, ripping the tree from his body. Oh my god, Izuku! Nezumi exclaimed, rushing to his side. It's okay, Auntie Nezumi. It's not your fault, he reassured her. Quickly, we can bring him to Recovery Girl. She may be able to heal him, Eraserhead urged. Nah, Andy, show it's okay. But what time is it? Izuku asked. It's 3:33 p.m., Eraserhead replied. Izuku's eyes widened. Sheet. They are still at school. I told them I would most likely be dead if I didn't pick them up. Despite his injury, Izuku forced himself to stand, blood seeping from his wounds. Sit down, Eraserhead shouted. No. I have to pick up my girls like a good parent. Let me go, Izuku insisted. With that, he took off toward the school, moving faster than the cat bus, which didn't have enough energy to warp. The heroes quickly followed, eventually boarding the cat bus themselves. After about 10 minutes, they reached the school, where Izuku was hugging 3 girls tightly. Himiko sobbed, We thought you were dead. Eri cried, I thought you left us like mama. Malim added, You're injured. The heroes were taken aback by the girls' deep attachment to Izuku. Shoo, it's okay. I just had a run-in with some heroes who disagree with me, and it's just a scratch, he said, trying to soothe them. Are they going to take us from you? Himiko asked, worry etched on her face. Izuku's expression turned serious. No matter what, nothing can take you 3 from me. If they try, I won't kill them, but I will torture them while healing them. Plus, they already know that, right? At that moment, the heroes emerged from the alleyway, apprehensive about what Izuku might do if they attempted to take his daughters. Yes, we promise we will not take them from you. Right, All Might? Nezumi said. All Might hesitated. No, he should not raise the kids. Before he could finish, Eraserhead grabbed him with capture gear, glaring at him. If you want Recovery Girl to heal you after I beat you up, I suggest you agree. Fine, All Might relented. Izuku sighed in relief. Well, since that's settled, it's about time I succumb to the sweet darkness of rest. But before that, can you girls cover your ears until I faint? The girls quickly covered their ears. You better not hurt them, or I will hurt you in a way worse than Overhaul, whose screams could be heard for miles. Okay, and now, F you, Izuku said before collapsing, surrounded by his girls. As Izuku lay unconscious, the heroes were left to ponder the events that had transpired. They had witnessed a fierce battle, but more importantly, they had seen the bond between Izuku and his daughters, a bond that would not easily be broken. In the aftermath, They knew they had to tread carefully. The stakes were higher than ever, and the lines between hero and villain had begun to blur in ways they had never anticipated. Nezumi looked at Izuku with curiosity. "Actually, I am curious where you live," she said. Izuku smiled. "All of you can come along, but those two cannot," he replied, glancing at Eraserhead and Midnight. Eraserhead shrugged. "Nah, send me pictures. I'm going to sleep." "Okay then, Andy Show. Come on, we are taking the cat bus," Izuku exclaimed. "Wait, I'm coming along. Let me sleep on the cat bus," Eraserhead said, reluctantly joining them. As they rode, Nezumi asked, "By the way, how did you know we were going to set up dorms?" Izuku explained, "Oh, I left a bit of the swarm on Eraserhead that I can warp to." "Yes, I can warp, but I need some of the swarm there as a marker. It's like fast travel. And no, I cannot read minds. It's just my insanely high IQ being used." Nezumi felt a shiver run down her spine at the thought of how devious his mind could be, relieved he wasn't a villain. "Where is it?" Eraserhead inquired. "Your scarf," Izuku replied. "It was originally there, but I thought it would be better to enchant it." "Is that what you did to the bracelet you gave Yaoyorozu?" Eraserhead asked. "Yeah, if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to get there in time," Izuku said as they arrived at his house. "Welcome to my tiny shack I call home," he announced. Midnight looked around in awe. "How did you build all of this?" "Lots of time and practice. Plus, I started the moment I got my quirk, roughly 2 years before I died. After Hime arrived, I started expanding and installed a hot spring," Izuku explained. Endeavor raised an eyebrow. "Can I borrow it sometimes? I want to take Ray somewhere peaceful for our wedding anniversary." "Sure, but try not to go into mine or the kids' room. You can also use the cat bus to get here. It's faster," Izuku replied. "Thank you, you're now my favorite nephew," Endeavor said. "I am your only nephew. Come on girls, let's pack," Izuku called out. Together, they gathered. Their belongings, including clothes and essential items like Eri's soft toys, Himiko's knives, she had started training with them due to past trauma, and Milim's tiara. Time passed, and soon they were on their way to their new place, with Eri playing Raid Shadow Legends on Totoro's belly. "Well, Izuku, you will get the entire top floor. It has 4 bedrooms and a larger one for you, as well as a computer room, living room, a nice bathroom with a bathtub big enough for all of you, and an armory," Nezumi explained. "I'm guessing the armory is just in case someone attacks and the girls can hide there?" Izuku asked. "Yes, and Himiko seems to want to train with knives," Nezumi confirmed. "Can't blame her," Izuku said, understanding her need for self-defense. As UA resumed, the students entered the dorms. "Well, you have been assigned your rooms," Eraserhead announced. "Sensei, why is there another floor on the elevator but no assignment on the floor plan?" Lida questioned. "That's because it is the biggest room, encompassing the whole top floor, and is only for the strongest," Eraserhead replied. "Then why am I not assigned that room? I am the strongest and the successor of All Might. I deserve that room," Izumi protested. "That's because that room is for me," Izuku interjected. "Who the hell are you, male?" Katsumi snapped. "Well, I am the new teaching assistant for Eraserhead, as well as the newest executioner class hero," Izuku stated confidently. "That can't be true. Even All Might does not have an executioner class hero license. Plus, you are a male, only All Might has a quirk," Izumi argued. "Well, you may know me by my other names, Dead Sea, Healing Reaper, and CEO of Midoriya Corporation. But you all can call me Izuku Midoriya, except for those 3. "I know what you did," he replied, his tone serious. Lida declared, "You are that vigilante. As president of the class, I will capture you." Reprico burst. Lida unleashed his special move, but at that moment, a tentacle emerged from Izuku's back, grabbing Lida by the leg and lifting him up effortlessly. "How are you in the hero course? I can take down All Might with ease, and you think a hero in training stands a chance? Heck, even your sister respects me for all the good I have done. Now, does anyone else want to try?" Izuku challenged. Kirishima exclaimed, "You're so manly, healing others for free and stopping crime at night." "Are you really Healing Reaper?" Mina asked. wide-eyed. Yes, Izuku confirmed. Thank you. You healed me when the doctor said I had a terminal illness, Mina said, gratitude shining in her eyes. No problem. Now, everybody put your stuff aside and then go to class, Izuku instructed. As they settled in, Mina fainted from how cute Izuku was, and the girls played with the cat bus. Okay class, now to formally introduce myself. My name is Izuku Midoriya, and you may refer to me as Izuku or Sensei, except for Izumi, Katsumi, and Shoka. They are to call me Mr. Midoriya, he announced. Katsumi protested, What the hell, teach? What's your problem? My problem is why you are not in jail after what you did to Izuku, who, luckily, I managed to heal when I found him, Izuku replied, causing the three to fall silent. Okay, I will be taking over Quirk studies. First order of business, Lita is no longer president. It will be Momo with Vice President Mina, Izuku declared. You can't do that. Lita protested. Yes, as teaching assistant, I can. Now, I want you all to put on your gym attire and meet me at Field Alpha. We will be doing a quick quirk test, and you will have the chance to challenge me, Izuku instructed. At the field, he continued, I have seen your results from Miss Aizawa, so it's only fair I show mine. He proceeded to demonstrate his incredible abilities, infinity on the ball throw, unmeasurable on sit-ups, side steps and push-ups, stopping the clock on running, and a mere 0.05 seconds on the 50-meter dash. He even jumped to the forest he lived in during the long jump. Did you even use your quirk for that? Eraserhead asked, astonished. Nah, seems like a waste of energy, Izuku replied, shocking all the heroes in training with his strength. Okay, now who wants to fight? Izuku challenged, and only the three and Lita dared to face him. Okay, whenever you're ready, he said, his confidence unwavering. Lita charged at him again, but Izuku grabbed her by the head, locking eyes with her. You could not live with your failure, and look where it brought you, back to me. With a swift kick, he sent her flying into the wall. The others began to pummel him with their quirks, but Izuku stood firm. He can't still be alive after all that, Katsumi said, disbelief in her voice. Not so strong was he, Izumi added. Babies? What sick men sent all these babies to fight me? Izuku quipped, rushing forward and cracking the ground beneath him, causing them to tumble. He slammed his fists down, trapping them underground. Entire enemy team is babies, he declared with a smirk. Once the dust settled, the class of 1A saw Lita stuck in a wall and the rest with their heads sticking out of the ground like moles. Ah, that reminds me, Miss Yaoyorozu, please meet me at the front gate for something, Izuku called out. As the class returned to their classroom, they were stopped by a crowd in the hallway. What the hell is stopping us from leaving? Katsumi demanded. The other classes had come to declare war. Momo stepped forward, smirking. So this is the famous 1A that survived a villain attack. I am not impressed. You want to say that to my face? Katsumi shot back. Could you move aside? I need to meet someone, Momo interjected. Ah, my sweet Momo. Why are you with them? Why don't you join us and then we can marry? Momo suggested. Like ever. We already said no, Momo replied firmly. You will one way or the other, Momo insisted. Miss Yaoyorozu, there you are, Izuku said, stepping in. What are you doing, stupid male? I am talking to my future wife, but you do look delicious, Momo sneered. Izuku released a wave of bloodlust, causing everyone to collapse except for Class 1A. Well, to answer your question, I am the newest Executioner class hero, Dead Sea, as well as the Vigilante Dead Sea, he stated, showing his license. Should I kill you? You did annoy me in my class, he added, making Momo wet himself in fear. Saved by the clock, Izuku said, checking the time. Miss Yaoyorozu, please follow me. Later, Izuku turned to Momo. Now, Miss Yaoyorozu, you might be wondering why I asked to speak with you. Because I have Izuku's bracelet? Momo guessed. Well, yes and no, but first, get on the cat bus. I need to go pick up someone, Izuku replied. Cat bus? Momo asked, puzzled. Just then, the cat bus arrived, rushing in and stopping a bit too far forward before slowly reversing. Ladies first, Izuku said, gesturing for her to enter. As they sped toward the school where his kids were, Izuku asked, "Now, I believe you know someone named Izuku Yagi?" "Yes, you said he was safe. Can you bring me to see him?" Momo asked eagerly. "I am sorry, but he died that day," Izuku said gently. Momo began to sob hysterically. "I see you are still wearing the bracelet I gave you before I was revived," he added softly. "Wait, so you are my Izuku? The one that protected me all those years ago from those bullies? The one that was my first real friend?" Momo realized, her eyes wide. Izuku nodded, and she immediately jumped on him, hugging him tightly. "Izuku, why did you not come to see me after you disappeared?" "Well, that's a long story. That day I actually died, but my quirk brought me back. My wrath over how I died fueled me, but I was too afraid that they would track me through you," Izuku explained. "You could have at least come and told me you were alive. I had to learn that you died from a detective and supposedly came back to life without a body," Momo said, her voice trembling. "I am sorry, Momo. I wished I could meet you, but I was not strong enough. Plus, I had to take care of a couple of people," Izuku replied. "A couple of people? Wait, Izuku, who are we picking up?" Momo asked, curious. "Well, you see, during my vigilante days I adopted 3 soft daughters who were being abused," Izuku explained. "Wait, you have 2 kids?" Momo asked, surprised. 3 kids. 2 are 10 years old and 1 is 9. They all went through something like me," Izuku clarified. "Does that make me a mummy?" Momo teased. "Well, that's if you still want to marry me," Izuku replied, a playful smile on his face. A flashback of their childhood surfaced in Momo's mind. "Let's get married when we are older," she had said. "Yeah, after I become the next male hero like All Might," young Izuku had replied. "Yeah, we will be a hero duo like Green Tornado and All Might," young Momo had added. Momo snapped back to the present. "Izuku, the moment you saved me from the bullies, I knew that you were the one for me, so yes, I would love to marry you. But that irritating Monoma is trying to pressure me. She is my mom now, I will take care of it. Who dares mess with an executioner-class hero who can single-handedly take down the top 100 with ease?" Izuku declared confidently. "Yeah, only you can do that," Momo said, impressed. As they arrived, Izuku told her, "Wait here while I tell them." Momo nodded, watching as Izuku approached his daughters, who were being confronted by Small Might, the smaller version of All Might. "Come on, let's go." "Izuku asked me to pick you up," Small Might said. "But Papa said only he will pick us up," Eri protested. "He was injured, so he asked me to pick you 3 up," Small Might insisted. "He is too strong to be injured, even All Might fell to his might," Milim said, defending Izuku. This irritated Small Might. "But I am his father, so you should trust me," he said. "Oh. He told me what you did to him," Himiko replied defiantly. "Leave my girls alone," Izuku shouted, stepping in. Seeing Izuku, Small Might quickly walked away. "Now that he is gone, come here and give me a hug," Izuku said, opening his arms. "Daddy! Papa! Dad!" The 3 girls rushed to him, much to the surprise of the onlookers. The teacher approached. "Sorry, miss, can I ask that every day after school you make sure only I pick them up?" Izuku requested. "No problem. I've seen how much they care about you, and that other guy was weird," the teacher replied. "Thank you," Izuku said gratefully. "So, how was the first day of teaching for you?" Himiko asked. "It was not bad. I beat up the people who hurt me when I was younger and may have met the girl I talked about," Izuku said, smiling. "Wait, does that mean we get a mum?" Milim asked excitedly. "I guess so," Izuku replied. The girls squealed in delight. "Is she pretty like a princess?" Milim asked. Eri tilted her head. "How did you 2 meet?" she inquired. "Does she know how to fight with knives?" Himiko added. "Okay, how about you 3 come with me and see her for yourself?" Izuku suggested. He led them to the cat bus, but when he looked back, he didn't see them. "I could have sworn they were behind me," he said, puzzled. Just then, the girls jumped onto Momo from behind, shouting, "We are here!" "Ha!" Eri looked at Momo with wide eyes. "Are you our new mama?" she asked cutely. Momo's heart melted at the sight. I can be your new mama if you want, she said softly. Eri cheered, yay. I have a mama now to match with Papa. The girls rushed to hug Momo, creating a touching scene. Come on, let's go back to the dorms, Izuku said, smiling at the heartwarming moment. Is that why you get the entire top floor? Momo asked, glancing at Izuku. Yeah. The teachers caught me off guard after the USJ. It was the first time I ever manifested such a big swarm. Also, can you go and see Nezumi and tell her that you are going to be my wifey? Izuku asked, a teasing grin on his face. Momo blushed. No problem. As they returned to the dorms, Lito was already organizing a cleaning plan. Get up. We have to plan how to clean the place up, he said. What the hell do we have to clean the place for? Only the weak should clean, Katsumi retorted. Yet you are not even in the top 3 that live here, Mina pointed out. First place goes to Izuku-sensei, then Izumi and Shoka, Toru added. I am so much stronger than that bloody monster. Katsumi exclaimed. Yet you pretty much got single-handedly trashed by him, Jiru reminded her. Mina blushed, recalling how attractive Izuku was. I still can't believe he has a quirk. Plus, he is hot. I mean, look at the silky white hair and appealing red eyes. Tsu nodded. He is rather mature and has a stable mind after so long. Plus, he is an excellent hero in the people's eyes. But he has killed people? Lita protested. The only people I have heard he killed are Muscular and Overhaul, Tsu replied. At that moment, Izuku appeared, catching their attention. That's because they hurt one of my kids, he said, a serious tone in his voice. Mina, how long were you standing there? She asked, surprised. Long enough to know that Miss Bakugu still thinks she is one of the strongest, Izuku said, smirking at her. I am the strong. Wait, did you say kids? Katsumi asked, her eyes widening. Yes, now let me set some ground rules when they are around. No swearing, no obscene things, no fighting, no harming any of them, and if you make any of them sad, you will join Overhaul and Muscular. Capiche? Izuku warned. All the students nodded, even Katsumi, who was experiencing some PTSD, except for a certain egotistical feminist. That's bullshit. Why do we have to accommodate? Lita began, but Izuku formed a fist using a bit of the swarm and punched her so hard that she spat out blood and crashed against the wall. That's why. Now, girls, you can come in and introduce yourselves, Izuku said, motioning for them to enter. The girls came in with Totoro on Eri's head and Mr. Sky being hugged by her. Hi, I am Himiko Midoriya. I am 10, and my quirk is transform. Nice to meet you, she introduced herself. Hello, I am Mili Midoriya. I am the same as her, and my quirk is Dragon Snake. Nice to make your acquaintance, Milim added cheerfully. Hello, I am Eri Midoriya. I am 9, and my quirk is Rewind. The bunny on my head is Totoro, and the blue one is Mr. Sky. Say hi, you two, Eri exclaimed. Totoro and Mr. Sky jumped off Eri and waved their tiny hands, bouncing around happily. The students of Class 1A squealed at the sight. How cute! Mina and Toru chorused. Not so loud, you are scaring them. And Totoro may bite you, Izuku warned. Sorry, but how will it bite me? I do not see any teeth, Mina replied, puzzled. Mr. Sky is strong enough to scare All Might away from Eri, Izuku explained. How much to buy them off you? Izumi asked suddenly. What? Izuku replied, taken aback. How much to buy one of those bunnies? They are too cute and I want one. Izumi insisted. Not for sale, Izuku said firmly. My father is All Might. He will make you, Izumi threatened. Izuku quickly grabbed her by the neck, pulling her close. Did you not hear me? All Might is nothing compared to me. Even Mr. Sky can fend off All Might. Maybe I should just kill you to get rid of an annoying pest, he warned. Momo interjected, Izuku, don't waste time killing her. I am sure she understands not to mess with you now. Eri looked up at Momo, her eyes wide. Mama, are you going to be staying with us? The whole class gasped, what? Itsuka expressed her gratitude, saying how thankful she was for the opportunity to train with one of the most renowned heroes and vigilantes. Izuku nodded, ready to begin. The training montage kicked off with a grueling regimen. For the first 3 days, Izuku pushed them to complete 10% of his own training routine, which included 1,000 push-ups, 1,000 sit-ups, 1,000 squats, and a 100-kilometer run, both in the morning and afternoon. On days 4 to 6, he shifted his focus to helping them become more creative with their quirks. He advised Itsuka to enlarge her palm just before striking and encouraged Kirishima and Tetsu to enhance their defenses in a cone-like pattern, allowing them to absorb more damage while conserving stamina. On the 7th day, they took a break and headed to the beach. By the 8th day, Izuku initiated a sparring session, facing all the students at once with his hands tied behind his back. He easily overwhelmed them, prompting him to taunt, "Come on, get back up. I barely had to move to beat you all." The students groaned in unison, one of them muttering, "That's because you're a monster." "Come on, at least crawl to the side so I can heal you," Izuku encouraged, watching as they began to drag themselves away, some using only one arm while Tsuyu utilized her tongue. Suddenly, a blue-haired girl flew in. "Hello. Are you actually a male? How did you do all this? Have I met you before? Are you a student?" Nijire bombarded him with questions. Izuku chuckled, recognizing her. "Oh, it's the hero with decent manners. So I have met you before," she replied, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Maybe this will jog your memory," he said, forming a tentacle that gently patted her head. She blushed, and Mina, watching nearby, pouted in jealousy. "You're dead, see?" Nijire gasped, her surprise evident. "Yes, I am," Izuku confirmed, grinning. "Aizu, I want head pats too," Mina exclaimed. "Aizu?" he echoed, slightly taken aback. "Yeah, I thought it was a cute nickname," she replied with a playful smile. "Fine," he relented, reaching out to pat her head as well. Mirio, standing nearby, apologized for Mina's enthusiasm. "I'm sorry about her, she's very energetic, Mr. Dead Sea." "It's okay. Just call me Izuku," he replied. "I don't think I formally introduced myself. I'm Mirio Togata, the hero Lemillion, and this shy girl is Tamaki Amajiki, also known as Sun Eater. The blushing blue-haired girl is Nijire Hado, the hero Miss Surge," Mirio introduced his friends. Tamaki stuttered, "It's nice to meet you. I remember you and Nijire. I saved her when I first brought my girls out for lunch, and you tried to phase through me," Izuku recalled with a smile. Momo, watching from a distance, felt a pang of jealousy. "Zuzu, who are these?" These are the big three of you." "Big three, this is Momo Yaoyorozu, my fiancé," Izuku introduced, his tone light. Nijire's eyes widened in surprise. "You're married?" In her thoughts, she lamented, "Guess I lost my chance. More like fiancé. I intend to marry her, but the government wants me to marry more. It's up to Momo though. If she doesn't want to, I'll take a quick trip to the Hero Commission to get their approval," Izuku explained. "Then can I join? You're a really nice guy, and I want my mom to stop bugging me. Plus, you healed me that time, and I want to thank you," Nijire said earnestly. "I don't mind, but ask Momo," Izuku replied, glancing at her. "I don't mind, but I'm the top dog. Plus, I don't think I can handle you alone with how much stamina you've shown so far," Momo teased. "Thanks." Nijire beamed. Mina, watching the exchange, thought to herself, "Maybe I can join too. He's so hot and protective. Okay, now back to work, all of you. I expect at least one of you to graze me by the end of it," Izuku commanded, his tone shifting back to serious. The students groaned in pain, but they pushed through the training. Days 9 through 14 continued with intense combat practice, and Izuku increased the difficulty by having them pull a cart with his girls on it. He also signed a contract with UA, taking over the priority of medical supplies and everything from All Might Tower to Midoriya Corp and Yaoyorozu Corporation. This decision greatly upset All Might, as it cut off his greatest source of income. On the 3rd day of the sports festival, Present Mike welcomed everyone with his usual exuberance. "Welcome everybody, to this year's UA Sports Festival. With me, the loudest hero to ever live, Present Mike, and the bootleg Batman that strikes fear in all coffee makers, Eraserhead." Eraserhead, still groggy, muttered, "How did I get brought into this?" I was sleeping on the cat bus the last time I opened my eyes. Present Mike continued. Now, first up is Class 1A, who has the newest, most dangerous man as a teacher, Dead C. Followed by Class 1B and the rest of the courses with the R-rated hero, Midnight. As the classes began their walkout, Midnight announced, and now, the strongest student to ever join UA to give the speech. At this, Izumi stepped forward, but Midnight quickly interrupted. Walk the hell back down. I'm not talking about you. The strongest student, Izuku Midoriya, also known as Dead Sea and the Healing Reaper, has saved more lives than All Might's entire career in just a year, and he's only 17. With that, Izuku transformed into his swarm form, hovering above Midnight before crashing down with a loud thud and reverting to his healing form. Hello Yue, how are you all doing? He shouted, and the crowd erupted in excitement, thrilled to see the hero who had reduced the crime rate to a mere fraction of what it once was. The atmosphere was electric as the crowd buzzed with excitement. Izuku Midoriya stood at the center of the arena, his heart racing with anticipation. He had recently crossed the milestone of 10,000 supporters, and he felt immense gratitude for their encouragement. To celebrate, he decided to plan a new story, one that had been brewing in his mind for quite some time. He was eager to share the options with his fans, allowing them to choose which tale would unfold first. He had been unwell recently, unable to update his followers as he recovered. But now, he was back, stronger than ever, ready to dive into the world of storytelling once again. His first idea was Izuku SLV of UA, a narrative set in a world where girls possessed quirks while boys did not. Despite the societal pressure and ridicule from those he once called friends, Izuku dreamed of becoming a hero. At the age of 8, he demonstrated extraordinary strength while helping his mother, leading to questions about whether he had a quirk of his own. Eventually, he discovered his unique ability, SLV, which required him to choose a MSTR to unlock its full potential. The story promised a HRM pairing, with readers having the freedom to choose who would join him on his journey. The second option was Izuku, the Apostle of Beings X. At just 4 years old, Izuku's life was shattered, but a new door opened when a doctor gifted him a book titled The Saga of Tanya. Years of silence, he finally heard the voices of multiple gods, granting him the power to remind the world of their existence. As the new apostle, he would learn to wield elemental powers and create weapons like the Type 95, sharing his gifts with those he trusted. This story would feature a pairing with Momo. The third concept was Izuku, the last of the Buster Dress pilots. In a world where only women received quirks, Izuku faced ridicule for his aspirations to be a hero. One day, overwhelmed by the negativity, he fled to the forest, where he discovered an ancient mech cockpit. Exhausted, he rested, only to awaken the last of the war machines. With the mech and its AI by his side, he realized he didn't need a quirk to be a hero. Instead, he would learn to pilot the Buster Dress, which could hide a subdimension and grant him a power suit. This story was open to pairing suggestions. As he shared these ideas, Izuku encouraged his followers to ask questions and express their preferences. He promised to dedicate one of his 3 weekly updates to whichever story received the most support. The crowd erupted in cheers as Izuku, now in his empowered form, declared, "You may know me as Dead Sea or Healing Reaper, but my true identity is Izuku Midoriya, the head of Midoriya Corp and the most powerful male with a quirk." The audience fell silent, captivated by his presence. A store owner he had helped stood up, cheering for him, and soon the entire crowd joined in, celebrating his resilience and determination. "I was abused when I was younger due to something I could not control. A quirk," Izuku continued, his voice steady. "When I developed my own, I knew I had the power to save myself and help others. That's why I started Midoriya Corp, to assist those in need. Remember, we are not called heroes because of our quirks, but because we stand against the injustices of the world and defend those who cannot defend themselves. We are here at UA to ensure that when our time comes, we will stand tall." Plus Ultra. Midnight, the event's host, spun the wheel to reveal the first event. And the first event is the obstacle race. "All students, please prepare to start." As the students lined up, Izuku lingered at the back, catching Momo's attention. Zuzu, what are you planning? She asked, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. Oh, nothing much. Just planning to take a bus. Care to join me? He replied with a grin. Momo nodded, just as Mina and Jiro rushed over. I guess you heard what I said and want to join me? Izuku teased. Both girls nodded enthusiastically. Fine, but Jiro, cover your ears, he added playfully. As midnight counted down to the start of the race, Shoka ignited the ground, creating a barrier to halt any incoming students. Izuku, along with Momo, Mina, and Kyoka, stood still, watching the chaos unfold. Why did you do that half and half? Katsumi shouted, frustration evident in her voice. Suddenly, a loud roar echoed through the arena as the cat bus, a creation of Izuku's, sped toward him, capturing the audience's attention and awakening Eraserhead from his slumber. Ladies and gentlemen, the cat bus that our dear student Midoriya created has arrived. It's one of the fastest and fluffiest rides you'll ever experience. Eraserhead announced. Present Mike chimed in, whoa. I've never seen you with so much energy. That's because sleeping on it is like resting on a cloud. Izuku, you better lend me the cat bus later, Eraserhead joked. Izuku gave a thumbs up in response, a smile on his face. Mina looked at him, eyes wide with curiosity. Izu, what is that? That's the cat bus, something I created to help my kids get around. Now, hop on, he said, gesturing for Momo, Mina, and Jiro to join him. As they boarded, the cat bus took off, weaving through the obstacles with ease, leaving the other competitors in its dust. Katsumi shouted after them, come back here and let me catch you, extra. Izumi, bewildered, exclaimed, how is that fair? Inside the cat bus, Mina and Jiro chatted with Izuku and Momo. This is so comfortable, Mina remarked, sinking into the plush seats. Yeah, I feel like I could just sleep on it, Jiro added. Izuku chuckled. Maybe in the future, you can have a sleepover with my kids in it. Momo smiled. That would be a great way to bond, Izu. The group continued their light-hearted conversation until they reached the finish line. Midnight announced, and the winners, due to the inability to determine who actually crossed first, are all four of you in first place. The crowd erupted in cheers for Izuku, the vigilante hero, the healer who worked for free, and the businessman who supported the community. Eraserhead turned to Izuku, a smirk on his face. Izuku, you are not allowed to use that later. Fine, Izuku replied, still grinning. As the race continued, Shoka came in second, Izumi third, and Katsumi fourth, with the rest of the results following the canon storyline. Midnight then announced the second event. Drum roll, please. Izuku, ever the entertainer, started drumming on an unseen surface, eliciting amused sweat drops from the audience. Thanks, Izuku. The next event is a cavalry race, with the last place earning 5 points, the next 10, and so on. Since we have 4 first-place winners, they will each receive 1 million points. At that moment, the participants glared at the 4 winners, sending waves of killing intent through the air. The girls, frightened, looked to Izuku for reassurance. In response, he unleashed his own aura, scaring the others into SBMSN. Eraserhead reminded Izuku, oh, and no using the swarm form. The band must be visible. Like that will stop me. You 3 want to be a team? Izuku asked, looking at Mina, Momo, and Jiro. Yeah, they replied in unison. Okay, Jiro will be on top for range, and I'll be the horse. Now, here's the plan, he said, outlining their strategy. As the event began, Midnight called out, ready, set, go. Katsumi shouted, after them, while Izumi urged, charge. Izuku, ever the strategist, plunged his hand into the ground, summoning tentacles to form a protective barrier around them. The scene resembled an epic battle against a kraken, with teams realizing the futility of attacking Izuku's group. Come on, team, let's go after someone else. Shoka encouraged her teammates. As the event progressed, Midnight announced the final scores. Jiro's team took first place with 4 million points, followed by Shoka's team with 123 points, Izumi's team with 99 points, and Katsumi's team with 69 points. With the next part of the sports festival set to begin after a 2-hour lunch break, Mina cheered, yay, we got first. What did you expect when we had this force of nature on our side? Jiro replied, grinning. Momo chimed in, come on Izu, let's go get lunch. You two want to come? Coming. Just telling Nijire first, Izuku said, eager to share the moment with his friend. Sure, why not? I want to play with Melee more, Mina added. Yeah. Jiro agreed. The group made their way to the canteen, where they found Nijire already waiting. They settled at a table, and Eri exclaimed, Papa, you were so cool. Melee added, yeah, you were like a kraken fighting off all those teams. Izuku laughed, okay. I'm going to get more food. Do you want anything? All the girls shook their heads, nah. As Izuku got up to fetch more food, a shadow loomed over their table. Monoma approached, a smug grin on his face. Momo, my dearest, why are you eating with these fools? Come with me and we can join. Our companies? Momo sighed, exasperated. How long will it take to get it through your skull? Eri, sensing the tension, piped up, are you trying to take my mama away? Monoma smirked, why, you are such a cute little brat. Hearing this, Eri's eyes filled with tears, triggering a protective instinct in Izuku and drawing the attention of the teachers nearby. Melim glared at Monoma. Hey, leave her alone. Momo added, I suggest you leave, Monoma. Or what? He challenged. Or me, Izuku interjected, grabbing Monoma's shoulder and turning him to face him. In that moment, Monoma realized he had made a grave mistake. I already warned your parents once that night, Izuku said, his voice low and dangerous. A flashback unfolded in Izuku's mind, recalling the dinner he had shared with Momo's parents. He had overheard a heated argument about their children's futures, with Monoma's parents insisting on a merger of their companies. Imagine how powerful our company would be if they merged, one voice had exclaimed. Again, I say my daughter has already found someone who makes her happy, another had countered. Izuku had stepped in, asserting himself as Momo's husband and the father of her future children. He had made it clear that he would not allow anyone to disrespect their relationship. Now, standing before Monoma, Izuku's patience had worn thin. But you did not listen and even made Eri cry. Monoma retorted, that's because I deserve Momo more than you. You know what? You die now, Izuku declared, his tone chilling. Nezumi, sensing the tension, intervened. Izuku, stop. Monoma laughed, even Nezumi is on my side. You're dead now, male. Nezumi countered, you were about to hurt her in front of your niece. At least take her to another room before you do it painfully and slowly. Monoma paled at her words. Izuku, undeterred, proposed, you know what, Nezumi? I have something better. Expel her and ban her from all hero schools while I take down their company. Nezumi smirked. Stripping her of all her power and status? You may be more sadistic than Mia. Momo chimed in. Zuzu, you are doing it again. Sorry, Izuku replied sheepishly. Just then Vlad rushed in, his expression fierce. Who hurt her? Monoma seized the opportunity. Sensei, you have to help me. I will pay you handsomely. Vlad's gaze hardened. So you are the one who hurt little Eri? You are a disgrace to 1B, and I will tell Nezumi to expel you. It's okay, we already have a plan to expel her, Izuku assured him. Fine, Vlad conceded. Anyone who witnessed the scene understood the unspoken rule, never mess with Izuku Midoriya's family. The teachers at UA would come down hard on anyone who dared to cross him. As the sports festival continued, Izuku prepared for the next round, determined to protect his loved ones and prove that he was a hero in every sense of the word. Izuku stood in the ring, determination etched on his face. With a swift motion, he threw Libera out of the ring by her leg, securing his victory. Midnight announced, Izuku is the winner. After the match, Izuku approached Libera, surprising her as he offered to heal her injuries. I may reject your god, he said, but you are a human like me. With that, he left the ring, leaving the crowd buzzing with excitement. Now the fight will be between. Midnight continued as the next round began. The matchups were set, Izuku versus Momo, Mina versus Katsumi, Lita versus Izumi, and Shoka versus Ojiro. Present Mike announced, First match for the second round is Izuku, the unstoppable force, versus Momo, the creation god. Ready, set, go? Izuku suggested, how about no quirks? I'll limit my strength to match yours. Momo agreed, seems fair. The two began to fight, Izuku employing his flowing water fighting style to deflect Momo's kickboxing strikes. The match continued, drawing the attention of the crowd. Why are you going easy on her and not using her quirk? One hero shouted. Another added, yeah, are you looking down on her? The crowd jeered until Eraserhead intervened. Izuku, in case you forgot, is Dead Sea, an unstoppable force of nature with strength greater than all might. He's restraining himself so she can learn, otherwise, he would finish this in one hit. The crowd fell silent. Momo, realizing her situation, declared, I surrender. Midnight confirmed, Izuku wins. You did well, Izuku told Momo. You've improved, but you need to use your waist more in your punches. Present Mike announced the next match, Mina, the alien queen, versus Katsumi, the explosive bomb. Ready, set, go? Katsumi sneered, so you're the slot that the useless teacher helped? Mina shot back, slot? How about you? Katsumi, seething with anger, retorted, you know what? You're just a mutant. No one will remember you. She unleashed her quirk, pummeling Mina mercilessly, refusing to let her surrender. Stop, Katsumi. She can't fight anymore. Midnight shouted. Seeing this, Izuku rushed in, throwing Katsumi aside and placing quirk-canceling cuffs on her. He knelt beside Mina, who lay unresponsive. Mina, can you hear me? Mina. The crowd held its breath. Finally Mina murmured, Eyes, please. Marry me. Izuku's sweat dropped, caught off guard. Sure. Just don't scare me like that. Momo, aware of Mina's feelings for Izuku, accepted the situation without argument. Eraserhead warned Katsumi, one more time like that, and you will forfeit the match. Clear? Crystal, Katsumi replied, still seething. The matches continued, leading to the semifinals. Izuku versus Katsumi and Izumi versus Shoka. Present Mike announced, and now for the first match of the semifinals. The ladies' man, sorry, he's already taken, Izuku versus Katsumi, the bloody berserker. Ready, set, go? Katsumi charged in, attempting to repeat her earlier performance against Mina, but Izuku grabbed her by the face and tossed her aside effortlessly. Realizing she couldn't win in hand-to-hand combat, Katsumi resorted to using her quirk like a rapid-fire machine gun, only to find Izuku standing unscathed. Katsumi, you know I'm still quite angry that you hurt Mina like that, he said, his voice steady. What are you talking about? She shot back. It hurts that you don't recognize the guy you nearly killed, Izuku replied, his anger simmering. Katsumi's thoughts raced. No, you can't be. He should be dead. Shoka thought, Big brother Izuku, is that you? Izumi mused, so you are Dead Sea, Izuku. Evilly, I can inherit your company from you after I kill you. Izuku decided to jog their memories. Perhaps this will help. He began transforming into his assault form. I believe you've read my journals and recognized this form. Katsumi gasped. Izuku Yagi, what the hell are you doing here as a hero? It's not Yagi, it's Midoriya. I disowned that name when I was reborn. And now, I'm going to kick your butt? With a fist full of rage, Izuku charged forward, pummeling her face before ragdolling her like Hulk did to Loki. Let's get one thing clear. I have disowned that old name and started a family that I am happy with. I will never let anyone hurt them. He punctuated his statement with one final punch, sending Katsumi flying out of the ring. Izuku is the winner. Midnight declared. Time skipped to the final match. Present Mike announced, and now the finals between Izuku, the Red Demon himself, versus Shoka, the Queen of Opposing Elements. Ready, set, go? Before we start, I want to say I'm sorry for all the pain I caused, Shoka said, her voice sincere. I know you always did less. Compared to them and apologized, Izuku replied. So tell me, why did you do it? I was afraid they would hurt me as well if I didn't listen, Shoka admitted. Is that why you don't use your ice? Because you helped them in my murder? Izuku asked, his tone serious. Shoka stood silent for a moment before nodding. Shoka, my cute little sis, I forgive you. Now let's go to the fullest. At his words, Shoka let her ice bloom from her side, and Izuku smirked, rushing her with both hands at his side. Shoka clapped her hands, and a massive explosion erupted. What just happened? Who is the winner? Present Mike exclaimed. Eraserhead explained, what happened is when you superheat air and cool it rapidly. As for who is the winner, Midnight, you got an answer. It's still dusty and it looks like Izuku by knockout, Midnight announced. Izuku stood there, his fist buried in a knocked-out Shoka's gut. And the winner of this year's sports festival, the first person to get first place in all 3 events, is Izuku Midoriya, Midnight declared, and the crowd erupted in cheers. Time skipped to the medal-giving ceremony, where All Might, coughing blood from his title as the symbol of peace, presented the awards. Now we will have the prize-giving ceremony by what is called the new symbol of peace, Izuku Midoriya, Midnight announced. The crowd buzzed with excitement. Oh my god, a new symbol of peace, better than the last one spectator exclaimed. Yeah, he took down crime to a mere 5% of what it used to be, another added. All Might, hearing that he had been replaced by the son he neglected, seethed with rage, while Katsumi and Izumi simmered with frustration over losing their titles. Third place goes to Katsumi Bakugu and Izumi Yagi. Let's give them a round of applause, Izuku said, whispering to them, I hope you know this is only the beginning. The clapping was minimal, given the brutality of Katsumi's fight. And in second place, Shoka Todoroki. You made your family proud, including me, Izuku said, pulling her into a hug as the crowd applauded loudly. And finally in first place me, he declared, and the crowd cheered even louder. Now everyone, say it with me, go beyond. Plus ultra, the crowd roared in unison. Izuku had won the sports festival, agreed to marry Mina, defeated Katsumi, and repaired his relationship with Shoka. As the chapter closed, the anticipation of the upcoming internship loomed. At the end of the sports festival, the students were assigned internships, with Izuku being the top choice, though he was never listed. All of you did well, and now for your internships, Eraserhead announced. The votes tallied. Shoka with 4,987, Momo with 4,634, Mina with 4,209, Izumi with 2,890, and Katsumi with only what? The class exclaimed in disbelief. Usually it's more spread out, but this year we have a couple of juggernauts taking up the spots, Eraserhead explained. Why the hell did I only get 700? I was in the top 3. Katsumi shouted. That's because you acted like a villain in a hero school when you fought me, Mina replied. But now that I think about it, Izu, why aren't you up there? Why do I need an internship? I've done hero work for years with no additional support, Izuku replied. True, Mina conceded. But you're a male. How can you be a hero when we're only training? Lita interjected. Enough, Tenya, Eraserhead cut in. Now, with internships, you have to select your hero name, which will be done by my colleague, who I SCK at. Who? Denki asked. Me, Midnight replied. Now, you should choose carefully, or your hero name will stick with you for the rest of your life. Who's up first? Momo, the creation hero, Creati, she announced. Creative, Midnight corrected. Mina, Alien Queen. Too many copyright issues, plus not very comforting, Midnight replied. Fine, Izu, you choose for me, Mina said. Xeno or Pinky, Izuku suggested. Xeno it is, Mina decided. Approved, Midnight confirmed. Izumi, Emerald Splash. Strong and iconic, approved, Midnight said. Katsumi, Queen Explosion Murder. Do you want even fewer internships? Midnight asked. Queen Explosion, Katsumi amended. Fine for now, Midnight relented. The naming continued until Lita simply said, Lita? Just your name? Okay, Midnight replied. I want you to come with me after class, understood? Izuku instructed Lita. Yes, sir, Lita replied. Remember to choose carefully, as some internships are not too useful, like Iwabami, who is only for commercials, Izuku warned. Thank God Zuzu told me, Momo thought. Zuzu, what will you be doing during the internship? She asked. Well, healing at hospitals. I can fully heal someone, even if they're missing a couple of organs, as Midnight will attest, Izuku said. It's true, Midnight confirmed. Okay, quiet down. Class is dismissed. Remember to give me your choice by the end of the week, Eraserhead instructed. Miss Tenya, come with me. Momo Pinky, you should come along as well, Izuku said. Where are we going, Zuzu? Momo asked. We're going to pick up the kids first, then Nijire, Izuku replied. After picking up Nijire and the girls, they boarded the cat bus. Now, Lita, I heard about what happened to Ingenium, your sister. I'm sorry, Izuku said. It's not your fault, Lita replied. That's true, but do you remember what one of my names is? Izuku asked. Healing Reaper, Lita said softly. You can heal him? Yes. But let me tell you a story to change your mind on things. Mina, Momo, Nijire, you should listen too. Izuku proceeded to share his story of being bullied, neglected, tortured, and starved due to his lack of a quirk and being a male. He spoke of his death and his longing to help the community. After he finished, Lita was shocked, while the girls were in tears. Oh my god, Izu, I'm so sorry for your past, Nijire said. I'm sorry I didn't know it was so bad. If I had, I would have brought you home with me, Momo added. How are you not a villain right now? Mina asked. I want to ensure nobody goes through the same thing, Izuku replied. Is that why you're so cold toward Izumi and Katsumi? Lita inquired. Yes. I hope you drop the female supremacy. If not, you might end up like Katsumi and Izumi, Izuku warned. I understand. I will strive to be a better hero, Lita promised. Good. Let's go help your sister. Lita will come with me, while you three can go to the mall. I'll see you there soon, Izuku instructed. Transforming into his healing Reaper form, he began healing those around him with the aura that accompanied his transformation. Finally, he reached Lita's sister's room. Hi, Tenya. I watched the sports festival. You fought well, Tensei greeted. I brought someone who may help you walk again, Lita said. All the doctors said that was impossible, Tensei replied. Maybe not for him, Lita said, gesturing to Izuku. Hello, Ingenium. Good to see you again, Izuku said. Ah, Dead Sea, or should I call you Izuku Midoriya? Tensei laughed. Izuku reverted back to his normal form. Good to see you again, Tensei. But I have the rest of the hospital to heal, so I'm sorry if I can't chat. It's okay, Izuku, but thanks for healing me, Tensei replied. You were always the one who didn't try to stop me when I healed people or was a vigilante, Izuku said. To be fair, you healed Tenya for me when she was younger once, Tensei replied. Izuku healed me once. Why don't I remember it? Lita exclaimed. Huh, I'll leave you two to chat. Also, Tensei, I've healed you. And you should be able to walk now, but you'll need about a week's rest before hero work, with plenty of protein before you can use your quirk, Izuku said before transforming back into his healing Reaper form and leaving. Well, one time you had an extremely high fever and fell into a coma. The doctors said they couldn't do anything but ease your pain so you could pass in peace. I searched high and low for him to heal you, and eventually I found him, Tensei explained. So he saved me before? Lita asked. Well, yes, and eventually I found out about him being Dead Sea but kept quiet by his request, Tensei said. I need to apologize to him. He saved my life and showed me the way of a true hero, Lita said, determination in her voice. Time skipped to the start of the internship, where Eraser had instructed, okay, make sure to get on your train on time and behave for your intern. Yes, sensei, the whole class replied. So, Zuzu, are you going to Hosu? Momo asked. Yeah, I thought I should bring the girls out for some fun, Izuku replied. We're going to an amusement park. Himiko exclaimed. Are you sure you can't come, Mom? Nalim asked. Sorry, sweetheart, I have to go for the internship, Momo said. Yeah, same, but we'll call you at night, Mina added. It's okay, Mama. Nijire will come along, right, my little fairy? Izuku said. Nijire pouted. How did you see me? I can catch an invisible girl. You shouldn't be too difficult, Izuku teased. Fair enough, but first, let's go shopping for some new clothes, Nijire suggested. Okay, but let's send Zeno and Kriati to their internship spots first, Izuku said. Endeavor and Miruko, right? Nijire asked. Yup, Momo and Mina confirmed. The group took Izuku's cat bus to Endeavor's office, where he greeted his aunt and introduced her to her grandniece. They then visited Maruko's house before heading to the mall for a peaceful day of family bonding. Suddenly, Nijire called out, Ice? Yes, my fairy? Izuku replied. I was wondering, since you own Midoriya Corp., are you going to Island? Nijire asked. Yeah, Mr. Shield and I have an arrangement. Izuku began, but was interrupted by screams and explosions in the distance. Nijire, find the kids. I will take care of this, he commanded. Nijire nodded and floated away as Izuku transformed into his Dead Sea form, launching himself into action against the Nomus. He consumed any he encountered, healing people while they were inside him until he had taken care of every last one. Suddenly, he was kicked by an old woman. Granny Torino, he exclaimed. What? Gran Torino replied, stopping in her tracks. Izuku, is that you? She asked, recognizing him. Hi, Granny Torino. Guess you never watched the sports festival, he said. Guess not. But what happened to all those people? She inquired. I warped them to a hospital as soon as I finished healing any lethal injuries inside me, Izuku explained. Izuku, I'm sorry I never noticed, Gran Torino said. It's okay, Izuku started, but was interrupted by a scream from one of his daughters. Sorry, can you take care of the rest? Your great-granddaughters are in danger, he said, warping to their location. When he arrived, he saw Nijire, Himiko, Milim, and a random hero slumped on the floor, with a young boy standing protectively in front of Eri. Who hurt my family? Izuku roared. Who are you to try to stop my crusade against the unjust? A figure replied. Stain or Stendhal, I'm surprised you forgot about me, Izuku said, recognizing the villain. Izuku, you have become a true hero. But move aside so I can kill those fakes, Stain demanded. You mean my family and the random hero? Sorry, I can't let you do that, Izuku replied. It's time to stop your killing spree, he added firmly. Only those who are pure, like All Might, may be heroes, Stain insisted. Izuku laughed. Please, All Might a pure hero? He neglected and abused his child, which is me. What? Stain exclaimed, taken aback. Hearing this, Stain released his killing intent, but Izuku matched it even stronger, ensuring his girls were not affected, causing Stain to faint. Well, that's that problem taken care of. Child, move aside, Izuku instructed, but the boy stood his ground, thinking Izuku would hurt his new friends. Papa, don't hurt him. He protected us. Eri pleaded. I will not. Now, child, what is your name? Izuku asked. Yoichi, the boy replied. Izuku's heart softened. First son. No last name? I can't remember, Yoichi said. Izuku stepped forward, healing any injuries Nijire, his girls, and the hero had sustained, as well as Yoichi's. Why did you try to save them? He asked. I don't know. My body just moved, like what a hero would do, Yoichi explained. Do you have anywhere to go or parents to return to? Izuku inquired. I remember my mom was abusive, and I had a... Izuku stood before his class, a serious expression on his face. Okay, class, we will be having a final exam that includes both a practical and a theory component. This will determine whether you can participate in the summer camp and pass the exam. I will be setting up a small boot camp that will be slightly more intense than the previous one. The students who had endured his earlier boot camp shuddered at the thought, including those from Class 1B. Tenya raised his hand, his brow furrowed in concern. Sir, who will we be fighting in the practical, and what should we study for the theory? Izuku replied, I haven't decided on the practical yet, but for the theory, it would be beneficial to study quirkless laws and quirks in general. Thank you, sir, Tenya said, nodding. No problem, Lita, Izuku responded. But that reminds me, tell your sister to call me later for some important business. Of course, Tenya replied. That's all for today's lesson. The boot camp starts tomorrow and will last for a week until the exams. If you don't mind, I need to go pick my kids up. Momo, Mina, do you want to come? Sure, Momo said. Yup, Mina added. The next day, the training began, pushing the students to their limits. Yoichi joined in, albeit at a lower intensity. Come on, Chi, one more flip. Push it. Izuku encouraged, watching as Yoichi strained to flip a tire, cheered on by his classmates. Is this what you did every day, father? Yoichi asked, breathing. Nah, my workouts were more intense, Izuku replied, recalling his grueling routine from his youth. But that was because my body was older and had been through more. I'll surpass you one day and become a great hero, Yoichi declared confidently. I know you will, son, but remember to stay happy. I was mostly angry and alone. You have a family to support you, and with that, you will surpass me. As they enjoyed the scenery, the day of the exam arrived. The theory portion had concluded, with most students performing well, except for Izumi and Katsumi, who struggled with questions about the quirkless. Nezumi addressed the class. Now you must be wondering who you will be fighting against. Katsumi interjected. The seniors told us it was robots. Well, no, Nezumi corrected. You will be fighting us, the UA staff, including me. Izuku chimed in, and me. Nezumi continued. To clarify, all of you, including Class 1B and some UA staff, will fight him. If you fail, you will not go to the summer camp. Izuku added, this is a test of how you react when faced with overwhelming power. All Might and Aizawa will be there to support you and make it fair. Denki raised an eyebrow. Sir, isn't that overkill? Yeah, maybe Vlad and Green Tornado will join you as well, Nezumi suggested. Seems better, Izuku agreed. Now, I will be at the center holding a briefcase that you must retrieve and return to me. To win, you must either get it back to me or take me out before the timer runs out, by any means necessary. Izumi frowned. Isn't that too easy? I mean, we have All Might and Green Tornado on our side. On the contrary, Nezumi replied. Izuku has taken out All Might and most of the staff even while tired after rescuing you during the USJ incident. He still had the energy to block a body shot for me. But to make it more difficult, Izuku, remove the weights? Gasps filled the room as most of the staff and Izuku's wife reacted in shock. Vlad asked, MDM, are you sure that's near suicide? Excuse me, but what are you talking about? Tenya inquired. This, Izuku said, removing his shirt to reveal a heavy vest. He then took off his leg and arm weights, dropping them to the ground with a resounding crash that created a crater. How heavy are those? Kirishima stammered. The limb weights are roughly 10 tons each, while my vest is 20 tons. They grow heavier as I grow stronger, Izuku explained. Wait, were you training us with those on? Denki asked incredulously. Pretty much. I only take them off when I sleep, Izuku replied. Momo thought to herself, thank goodness. If not, his arm could kill us in his sleep. Katsumi, skeptical, challenged, you're just lying. They can't be that heavy. She stepped forward to lift them but failed. Izumi then tried using her quirk, only to end up with a splitting headache. Nezumi announced, I assume there are no more questions. Izuku, go prepare. You have 5 minutes. Turning to see Izuku had already left, Nezumi was alerted to his location when one of the cameras showed him waving. Ready. Let's get this party rolling. Izuku shouted. While you heard him go in, Nezumi instructed. The group rushed in, but before they confronted Izuku, they debated their strategy. We should just rush him. He can't take us all on, All Might suggested. He took down an entire Yakuza group with over 300 members armed with guns single-handedly, and you want to fight him head-on? Eraser head countered. I agree with All Might. A frontal assault would be the fastest, Green Tornado chimed in. You know what? Vlad and I will ambush him. Students, decide who to follow, Eraserhead concluded. The students split up, with Aizawa leading Izuku's wife, Kendo, Shoka, Tsu, Jiro, Setsuna, Lida, Kirishima, and Yui. Izumi questioned, Lida, what are you doing with that group? I believe in Aizawa more than All Might after hearing what he did, Lida replied. All Might rallied his group. Listen up, young heroes. We will face the threat that is Dead Sea head-on. Now charge. As All Might charged forward, Izuku smacked him away in an instant, staring down the remaining students. So many little snacks, but so little time. I think I will have all of them. He laughed, transforming into his swarm form. He rushed at them, grabbing and swallowing Green Tornado as she screamed, followed by any students caught in his grasp. As he grew larger, absorbing their stamina, chaos erupted. What the hell did they bring us into? One random student exclaimed. Less talking, more running while throwing quirks, another shouted. Why did I think this was a good idea? A third student lamented. I'm too sparkly to die like this, Oyama cried. Eventually, only Izumi, Katsumi, and All Might remained. Izuku taunted. Do you think you can win? I have to prove my worth to wield one for all, Izumi declared. Izuku laughed and reverted to his original form. You will never be accepted, especially if you cannot even fight quirkless little me. They charged at each other, with All Might throwing the first punch, only to have his fist sent back by Izuku, knocking him out with a crushing blow. Katsumi then attempted a flashbang, temporarily blinding him, but Izuku retaliated by breaking her leg and lifting her by the head. Maybe I should cut off your hand so you can understand how a quirkless person feels, he said coldly. Katsumi struggled to escape, but Izumi came from behind, punching a hole in Izuku's stomach, causing him to drop Katsumi. As he slowly fell, Izumi taunted, useless till the end, huh, Deku? It's time for you to finally die. With you gone, I will take your company and probably the cute bunny from your little girl, maybe throw them out on the streets? Hearing this, Izuku stood up, fury igniting within him. He punched Izumi to the ground, breaking her limbs before healing her and breaking them again repeatedly. Suddenly, a voice interrupted, Izuku, my grandson, stop. Izuku turned to see 7 vestiges of ghosts, one of whom he recognized as Nana Shimura. Grandma? He asked, surprised. Nana, we are sorry for what happened. We want you, a pure-hearted hero, to take one for all, one of the figures said. You are like me, a male with a quirk, and hopefully, you will be able to finish my sister, another added. Will you accept and help end the CYCL? A third asked. Izuku hesitated. I'm not sure. But I will accept for now, and if I find a better candidate, I will give it to them. Very well. Now, what should we do to them? The second figure inquired. Leave enough in All Might for now and none for Izumi, Izuku instructed. It will be done, Izuku. By the past users of One for All, you are now the official 9th user of One for All. At that moment, Izumi stirred, croaking out a few words. Wait, One for All belongs to me. You cannot give it to this useless Deku. Nana replied, after what you did, be happy we did not take your quirk with us. We will be going now, Izuku. Take care of my great-grandbabies for me. The 7 orbs of light consolidated into one and flew into Izuku, surrounding him with a green crackle of electricity. He then grabbed the remaining students, giving them another thrashing with One for All before tossing them aside and waiting for the rest. Suddenly, multiple harpoons struck him as the group shot at him from the high ground of a building. Eraserhead called out, Give up, Izuku. We have the high ground. You underestimate my power, Anti-Aizawa. But if you want to play like that, then I will be Moby D-. Izuku retorted, transforming into his swarm form and diving underground. The heroes began using a hilariously large fishing rod to pull him in, with some students manning the reel and others holding it in place. Whose great idea was it to shoot harpoons and use a fishing rod instead of explosives? Mina asked. Yours, Mina, Momo replied. Why did you listen to me? Mina protested. This feels so manly, trying to catch a whale like this, Kirishima said, excitement in his voice. Less talking, more reeling him in. Tsu urged. Eventually, Izuku resurfaced, but in the building they were standing on, leading to all the students and teachers landing on the ground, facing a whale-sized Izuku in a tense standoff. You stepped forward. Izuku, can I have the case, please? The world stood still as the swarm stretched out a tentacle with the briefcase and handed it to you. Izuku then reverted to his original form. Congratulations, you won. Nezumi announced. All we had to do was ask? Mina exclaimed in disbelief. Izuku shrugged. Nezumi told me if any of them asked nicely, I should just give it up. Nezumi explained, the purpose of this exercise was to see whether, when faced with someone you could not defeat, you would try to resolve the situation peacefully. Heroes are meant to bring peace, but nowadays they often focus solely on fighting. Izuku added, now, let's move on to who passed and who failed. Nezumi reviewed the results. Well, let's see. All those who joined All Might, except for Fumikage and Toru, failed, while everyone else passed with flying colors. How is that fair? We were just following All Might. Achiko protested. Think, Achiko. If you just listen to a more famous hero when it's wrong, you never think for yourself. There could have been better options, Izuku pointed out. Nezumi continued. Fumikage and Toru were smarter, using their quirks and abilities to try to rescue anyone fighting him from being used as batteries. Mina shook her head in disbelief. I still can't believe we could just ask. Nezumi concluded, now you will have a 2-week holiday before the summer training camp. Since so many failed, all of you will go, as you clearly need it. Cheers erupted from the students. Meanwhile, Izuku made his way to All Might's bed in the nurse's office. Hello, Yagi. I just wanted you to know that Nana says you are a failure to her and that Izumi no longer has one for all. Izumi still has one for all. Izumi? All Might asked, concerned. Izumi sobbed, I can't feel it anymore. Give it back to her, All Might urged. At that moment, a figure emerged from Izuku. Izumi does not deserve it like you. I regret ever choosing you to be my successor, Nana declared. Them's or no? All Might cried out. I do not want to hear it. At least one for all is with someone who earned it, Izuku, Nana said, floating back into Izuku as he left them to grieve. Izuku stood at the edge of the bustling airport, excitement coursing through him as he prepared for a trip that promised adventure and relaxation. Girls, pack your stuff. We're going on a trip, he announced, his voice brimming with enthusiasm. Mina perked up, curiosity lighting her eyes. Where are we going, Izu? We're heading to Island for a holiday, Izuku replied, a grin spreading across his face. Mina's expression shifted to one of concern. Isn't it stupidly expensive? Momo chimed in, you forget he's the CEO of the biggest medical company in the world. Nijire added, and he has connections with Davida Shield. Mina's worries dissipated. In that case, with renewed energy, Mina and the girls dashed off to pack their clothes and necessities. Meanwhile, Izuku helped the kids gather their belongings. He faced a challenge convincing Eri to leave Mr. Sky and Totoro behind, but ultimately, the puppy dog eyes of his other children won her over. Izu, hurry up or we're going to miss our flight, Mina called out. It'll wait, after all, I just bought a private jet, Izuku replied casually. Mina stood in shock, realizing he had made such a significant purchase on a whim just for this trip. You didn't need to buy one, Zuzu. We could have used mine, Momo said, shaking her head. Nijire thought to herself, rich people think differently. Once on the flight, Nijire turned to Izuku. How do you know Davida Shield anyway? I worked with her on my Nay-Night project to help restore people fully without any drawbacks. It was similar to my quirk, and I wanted to address something concerning, Izuku explained. Eri pointed out the window, her eyes wide with wonder. Papa, look, the island is floating. Ah, that's island, Izuku replied, smiling at her excitement. Dad, can we get something to eat after we land? Malim asked, her stomach growling. After we meet Melissa and Davida Shield. They are our guides, princess, he assured her. Yoichi, still curious, asked, I still don't understand why you don't let me wear the weighted clothes. If you do that from such a young age, you won't be able to grow strong like me, Izuku replied. When the plane landed, they were greeted by a throng of fans clamoring for Izuku's autograph, the new symbol of peace. The sight startled his children, and sensing their fear, he unleashed a wave of killing intent, scattering the crowd. Izuku over here, a voice called out. Melissa, it's good to see you again, he said, relief washing over him. Daddy, who is this? Himiko asked, looking up at him. Ah, family, meet Melissa Shield, daughter of Davida Shield, Izuku introduced. Nice to meet you. Come, let me take you to Mom, Melissa said, leading them inside. As they entered, they found Davida with All Might and his daughter. Melissa, Mr. Midoriya is here, Davida announced. Why are you here, Izuku? All Might asked, his tone serious. Better question is why you are here, Izuku shot back. Sensing the tension, Mina decided to intervene. Melissa, can you take us out to a cafe? Malim is a bit hungry. Yes, could you bring them out, Melissa? Davida added. Sure, Mom, Melissa replied. Use my card, Izuku instructed as they left the building, leaving All Might, Davida, Izuku, and Izumi behind. I will ask you only once, Miss Shield. What is he doing here, near the nanite machine? Izuku demanded, his voice low. Izuku, we were planning to try and heal him with the machine. The world needs their symbol of peace, Davida explained. Davida, in case you haven't noticed, I am the new symbol of peace. Not this abusive pair of family, Izuku retorted. What are you talking about? Davida asked, confusion etched on her face. Ha, All Might never told you? Izuku laughed bitterly. There is nothing to tell, All Might insisted. Did you ever wonder what truly happened to Izuku Yagi? Izuku pressed. Izuku, shut up, Izumi interjected. Or what? You will abuse and kill me like you did those years ago? Izuku's voice was sharp, and the room fell silent. Davida stood in shock as Izuku recounted the story of his abuse, near RPE, and the attempts on his life. He spoke of his revival and transformation into a vigilante, detailing the horrors he had faced and the threats against his daughter. When he finished, Davida was quiet. Get the hell out of my lab, Yagis, she finally said, her voice trembling. You said you could heal me, All Might protested. That was before I learned of what you did to Izuku. Now leave before I call the security bots, Davida ordered, her tone final. All Might and Izumi left begrudgingly, and Davida turned to Izuku. I'm sorry. It's okay, Auntie Davida, he replied softly. And to think I was going to heal him. Melissa looked up to him. She lamented. It's okay, but at least now you know. How has the project been going? Izuku asked, shifting the conversation. He continued talking with Davida before turning to Melissa, wanting her to know the truth about her family. Melissa, you're alive, she exclaimed, joy lighting up her face. Hey, Mel, Izuku greeted, and they continued their conversation until the time came for the ball. Daddy, do I look pretty? Himiko asked, twirling in her dress. You all look so cute and appealing, Izuku replied, pride swelling in his chest. As they arrived at the ball, the security system suddenly went haywire. Impossible! The security system cannot be hacked. The firewall is too tough. Melissa exclaimed, panic rising in her voice. So, there are villains in the building? Izuku deduced. Most likely, Melissa confirmed. Izuku grumbled under his breath, can't even get a break when I bring my family out for a holiday. He transformed into his combat form, determination etched on his face. Mel, you're coming with me to guide me and fix the system. The rest of you stay here and stay safe, he instructed. Dad, I want to come along. Yuichi protested. No, Chi, I want you to stay here and protect your sisters, Izuku replied firmly, handing Yuichi a knife just in case. Melissa followed Izuku to the top of the building to reset the security system. They fought their way through, Izuku dispatching anyone in their path with ease. When they finally reached the top, they found Melissa's mother being herded to the roof. Mom! Melissa shouted. Leave quickly, Melissa. Davida urged, fear in her voice. Another hostage, perfect, a voice sneered, pointing a gun at Melissa. I wouldn't do that, Wolfram, Izuku warned, stepping forward. But Wolfram shot Melissa, riddling her with bullets. Melissa! Izuku cried out, rushing to her side to heal her. Wolfram took the opportunity to escape with Davida, who was still resisting and crying for her daughter. Just as they were about to get away, an enraged Izuku appeared. Get us out of here quick! Wolfram shouted. The helicopter began to lift off, but Izuku pulled it back with a tentacle, rescuing Davida and crashing the helicopter. Wolfram, desperate, activated a quirk-boosting device that Davida had been developing in secret. Whoa, this feels great. Now what are you going to do, Dead Sea, when you're facing a god? Wolfram taunted. Izuku rushed at her with all his might, ensuring Davida was safe before unleashing a flurry of blows that created afterimages. Finally, he used one for all for the first time. Full cowling machine gun blow, he shouted, effectively dismantling the device and leaving Wolfram defenseless. What now, symbol of peace? A nice cozy prison, she sneered. You're mistaken. You will face death for what you did to Melissa, Izuku declared, his voice cold. Wolfram began to crawl away, fear evident in her eyes. She threw giant metal fists at him, but he deflected them effortlessly, slowly advancing toward her. You can't do this. Heroes don't kill, she protested. That's where you're wrong. I am the symbol of justice, not peace. For all the lives you've taken and the crimes you've committed, you have been judged to face the death penalty, Izuku said, his voice unwavering. In a swift motion, he corroded her body while keeping her brain intact, ensuring she felt every moment of pain for what felt like a month before she finally died. Once it was over, he reverted back to his normal form. Davida, I hope you will never create that again, he said, turning to her. It was originally meant for All Might, but after seeing this and hearing your story, never again. Thank you for avenging Melissa, Davida sobbed, rushing to embrace her daughter. Melissa cried, relief flooding her voice. But how? Davida asked, astonished. It took a while, but I gave her a portion of All Might's quirk to save her and help her recover. Roughly 20%, Izuku explained. Thank you, Izuku. And I approve of you being her husband, Davida said, a teasing smile on her face. Izuku stammered, What are you talking about? I know you love her, and she loves you since you first met when you were little. You'll have to train her new quirk, Davida continued. But I already have Momo, Mina, and Nijire, Izuku protested. At that moment, his phone rang. I'm fine with Melissa, Momo said on the other end. How did you know? Izuku asked, bewildered. Call it my first wife sense, she replied before hanging up. Izuku turned to Melissa. I guess that means you're willing to be part of my HR? Yes, Izuku. I would love to be part of your HR. Melissa exclaimed, her face lighting up. Just then, Momo walked in with the rest of the family. Izuku raised an eyebrow, realization dawning on him. This was planned, wasn't it? Yup, while you were talking to Davida, Mina confirmed. Melissa blushed as she recalled a conversation with the girls. How does it feel marrying the same man? She had asked. It's nice. Plus, Izuku is so kind and caring, especially when he cooks, Nijire had replied. Oh yeah, his cooking is better than 5-star restaurants, Mina had added. But why do you want to join in? Melissa had wondered, feeling shy. No, it's just he feels so similar to my old friend, Izuku Yagi, but he died when he was 11, she had confessed. Nijire had reassured her, if you want, we won't be against it. Seeing how caring you are. Mina had added, plus, Yoichi and the girls seem to like you. As first wife, I agree, Momo had said. Thanks, girls. I'll think about it. But now, let's have more cake. Melissa had concluded. Izuku chuckled, fine. My mind may be devious, but yours are pure manipulative. Melissa smiled. Izuku, I want a wedding, though. Momo perked up. We're already planning one for all of us after training camp. Anything you want in it? Nothing really, just that my mom be there, Melissa replied. Already planned, and we can go shopping with his card for wedding dresses and stuff with the girls, Momo said, her excitement palpable. Do I have any say in this? Izuku asked, feigning exasperation. No, his wives replied in unison. Izuku retreated to a corner, lamenting how his bank account would be drained while Yoichi comforted him. Meanwhile, his daughters joined their mothers in shopping for clothes and wedding preparations. As the sun set on Island, the family felt a sense of unity and excitement for the adventures that lay ahead. Izuku's voice boomed across the training grounds, rousing the resting students from their slumber. Rise and shine. Let the Izuku boot camp of hell begin. The students who had been resting scrambled to their feet, particularly those who had previously endured his grueling training, rushing to the grounds out of fear of extra drills. Mandalay watched the chaos unfold and turned to Aizawa. Was it really a good idea to let him teach them? Aizawa shrugged, his expression stoic. He is an expert in hell training. The The class lined up, ready for the day's challenges, except for Izumi and Katsumi, who had slipped away to grab breakfast. Izuku surveyed the assembled group and declared, "Good. You maggots are lined up. Now we will be going to get breakfast, and I suggest you eat well because today will leave you in pain." As they entered the dining area, they spotted Izumi and Katsumi sitting at a table, seemingly oblivious to the commotion. Izuku's eyes narrowed, and he passed some intensifies to his classmates, dragging a finger across his throat while pointing at the two girls. The students who had survived Izuku's previous boot camp charged toward the table, their eyes filled with malicious intent, one even glowing red. Katsumi glared at them. "What the hell, extras? We're trying to eat." Izumi echoed her frustration. "What are you doing, you wannabe heroines?" Izuku's voice cut through the tension. "You disobeyed my orders, and now you will be punished with no breakfast. Tiger, front and center." His commanding tone sent a shiver down the spines of the pussycat group, prompting Tiger to rush forward and salute. "I will send you to a random spot in the forest," Izuku continued, "where you are to join them, hunt them down like a predator, and beat the hell out of them. You will wait 5 minutes for them to run before repeating the process. They will not be allowed back until 6 p.m., and I will send you food, which you are not allowed to share with them. Understood?" Tiger hesitated. "Sir, but what about them? They will only be allowed to eat what they find. They will suffer, and hopefully, you can beat their cancerous egos out of them. Plus, they wanted to harm my kittens." The pussycat group, having grown attached to Izuku's children, glared at Izumi and Katsumi, their eyes glowing with anger, causing the girls to tremble in fear. Izuku quickly warped them away. "Now that it's handled, let's eat," he declared, and the group settled down to enjoy their meal, with Izuku's family joining them shortly after. Once they finished, they lined up outside, even Izuku's daughters, prompting an "ah" from the onlookers. "We will be going for a 10-kilometer swim, and you must finish within an hour. Mizu, you will create a tsunami during the swim while I play the Kraken. The rest of you," he gestured to the teachers, "will be obstacles. I don't care what you do, just delay them. You are free to use your quirks, but those with mobility quirks will be given weights." "Understood?" "Yes, sir. Yes, sir," the students shouted in unison. "I can't hear you," Izuku challenged. "Yes, sir. Yes, sir," they shouted louder. "Sorry, but what did you say?" he pressed. "Sir, yes, sir." "Good. Now get to it." With that, the group rushed toward the water, some not even bothering to change. Tsuyu and Lita donned weights, and many struggled at first, nearly drowning until they spotted Melissa, who had only been using her quirk for a few days, swimming effortlessly. Her speed ignited a fierce determination within them. For the next 50 minutes, the students were tossed around like ragdolls, with Izuku pummeling them with quirks. Pixie Bob created pillars and walls at random, forcing them to either break them down or climb over them, while Aizawa erased their quirks at intervals, pushing them to rely on their muscles or hide beneath the water. "I thought you said the kids would make him less of a ST," Melissa remarked, watching the chaos unfold. "I think the kids went against us as well," Mina replied, shaking her head. Momo added, "I saw them point at some random people, and he attacked quickly. At least they loved us too much to target us. Plus, he's probably getting a bit of revenge after all the money we spent on him. What was it again? A couple million?" Mina mused. Izuku finally called out, "Good. You all survived and within the time limit. Now you will run through the forest, trying to catch me while I carry Eri, Kota, and Himiko without touching the ground. Only the trees. If you catch one of them, you can break early. Teachers, you are the obstacles. This exercise will continue until 11:30, which is about 2 hours away, so enjoy." The students immediately dashed after Izuku as he carried Eri, Kota, and Himiko on his back, who were armed with airsoft guns to shoot at anyone who got too close, while Kota squirted water at them. The teachers finally joined in the fun, with Pixie Bob unleashing beasts and Vlad King throwing punches. Despite their efforts, no one got close to catching Izuku, and soon 11:30 arrived, signaling lunchtime. "Time's up. Everyone back to the lodge. We are having a platter on a first-come, first-served basis." The students rushed back, eager to fill their bellies, only to find Izuku already there with his kids, enjoying their food. "What are you waiting for? Sit and eat," he urged. Lita hesitated. "Sir, are you sure about Nozumi's kid?" Izuku shrugged. "No, but she is my aunt." Everyone exchanged glances, thinking, so her essism rubbed off onto him. Mandalay chimed in, again, "Are you sure it was a good idea to let him lead? I'm pretty sure some of them had tea with Death himself a couple of times." Aizawa stood firm. "I stand by my point. If they survive, they will be stronger." The group continued to rest until around 2 p.m., when Izuku warped in a lobster and a decent amount of meat for Tiger, leading to Izumi and Katsumi's failed attempt to attack her. "Now that the physical part of the training has been completed, it's time for Quirk training," Aizawa announced. "You can go to Izuku for consultancy?" The training proceeded as usual, except Melissa took Izuku's place while he played with his kids. Dinner arrived, and Tiger finally returned with Katsumi and Izumi, both in considerable pain. As the day progressed, Izuku felt a nagging sensation at the back of his mind, which turned out to be a premonition when the forest suddenly caught fire. He rushed to confront the culprits. "It's nice to see you again, Twice, or should I say Gina?" Izuku said, his voice steady. Twice looked startled. "How do you know my name? Whose name is that?" Izuku smirked, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Izuku dove into the fray, battling both AM and Izumi simultaneously, using one arm to deflect punches from each opponent. He skillfully countered their attacks until he landed a knee to Izumi's gut. "You want to know something interesting?" he said, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "I can remove quirks by breaking a person's quirk factor." Izumi's eyes widened in fear as she attempted to escape. But before she could break free, Izuku's iron grip seized her wrist. She screamed in agony as he methodically dismantled her quirk factor, piece by piece. With a flick of his wrist, he tossed her aside and turned his attention to AM, determined to show him the true meaning of being quirkless. Izuku deactivated his assault form and engaged in a fistfight, demonstrating the strength of a true hero without a quirk. He returned punches with precision, absorbing blows to the face as if they were nothing. Finally, he broke M, extinguishing the spark of one for all within him. Rushing to Yoichi, Izuku was met with a grim sight. Fo lay dying on the bed, and Yoichi was sobbing, pleading for her to come back. A month later, the news broke of All Might's execution for his crimes against society and discrimination against the quirkless. Izumi, Katsumi, and Inko were sentenced to life in prison, their quirks stripped away by Izuku. They endured a fraction of the pain he had suffered, never to see the light of day again. In a dark chamber, Izumi, Katsumi, and Inko sat in a triangle, their hands bound. Izumi looked around, panic rising. "Where am I?" "Katsumi, wake up." Inko stirred, confusion etched on her face. "What happened?" Katsumi scowled, anger bubbling to the surface. "That demon Deku." Izumi's voice trembled as she spoke. "Oh God, where's Dad? We were fighting Deku when he..." Her words trailed off into sobs. Inko frowned. "What's wrong, Izumi?" "Izuku took my quirk." Izumi cried. Inko's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? He must be teaming up with All for One." Katsumi scoffed. "That stupid Deku can't take quirks." Just then, Izuku emerged from the shadows, a smirk on his face. "Well, you're not wrong. I destroy quirks, and as for but might..." He gestured, and Yoichi stepped forward, tossing an unconscious, beaten-up small mite at their feet. Katsumi's rage boiled over. "How dare you, useless Deku? Do that to Uncle Yagi!" She exploded from her chair, charging at him. "I wouldn't do that if I were you," Izuku warned, catching her by the face and slamming her back down. "I just said I can destroy quirks. Why would I want your filthy quirk in me? Yoichi, do you want theirs?" "No, father," Yoichi replied, shaking his head. Izuku's expression hardened. "Now, for colluding with the villain but might, Katsumi, Izumi, and Inko will have their quirks stripped away and be imprisoned in Tartarus for life for child abuse, neglect, and quirkism." Katsumi struggled against his grip, but it was futile. "Let me go." Izuku's hand glowed with red veins, expanding toward Katsumi. It can take as long as I want. And as painful as I want. Katsumi screamed, tears streaming down her face as she begged for mercy. Please stop. You were lucky, Izumi, Izuku said coldly. I had to take care of but Katsumi? Not so much. Now imagine a sledgehammer driving into your very DNA multiple times before it finally breaks apart. After 5 agonizing minutes, he tossed Katsumi aside and turned to Inko. I'll make yours swift. You did feed me at the start. As he approached her, Inko's scream pierced the air, louder than Katsumi's. I said I would make it swift, not painless. He laughed, dropping her back into her chair. He signaled for Yoichi to follow him out. Enjoy the rest of your life, and say goodbye to Beach Might, he said, walking out of the chamber, never to see Izumi, Katsumi, and Inko again. He became the executioner for But Might, passing the right to his son, who had taken away his sister. With a single swing, the era of All Might, the symbol of peace, ended, making way for Izuku, the symbol of justice. A year later, Izuku was hailed as the new symbol of justice, bringing crime rates down to a mere fraction of what they had been during All Might's time. He welcomed his first child with Momo, a son named Eren. As time passed, his other wife also desired a child, and Izuku found himself overwhelmed, fearing it could only be described as death by Tsingisi. Years flew by, and too soon his wife passed away from old age. Decades later, one by one his children followed her, all buried near the lake where AFO rested. Left alone, Izuku, immortal and eternal, sought solace in a shrine built in the forest near their resting place. There, he fell into a slumber, teetering on the edge of life and death. In his dreams, he saw his family again. The shrine was constructed to seal the demon of wrath, said to awaken if one prayed with a heart full of rage due to injustice. But his family, along with the principle of Yue, knew the truth. He had left a key behind. Should a villain arise that the current symbol could not defeat, he would awaken, fueled by the anger of those wronged. As long as they existed, his flame would never extinguish. He was immortal. He was eternal. He was unstoppable. He was the first symbol of justice. He was the forefather of a new era. He was Izuku, the demon swarm of wrath.